So Liverpool are 1-0 down. Inside of a minute. Oh, inside of a minute. Let me turn my phone off.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
What's Trent looking at? What are you arguing about, bro? What?
It's a 4-on-3 if we don't get back. Yeah, we're Liverpool's players.
What is Trent doing? Why has he gone all the way back?
That's a great goal. That's a fucking great goal.
Doesn't just head at the kids. Just head at him. Just, oh, lads. Come on. Come on. Come on. Do what fucking Donnarumma done to him. Right way, but he scored. Oh, such a good penalty as well.
Come on, bro. Come on.
And Simicast's got good delivery. Come on,
Let's
bro.
go in 2-1 up. Nah, we can still make something.
They've done a bit more.
A few moments later.
Come on,
Oh my
Matip, be
God.
stronger.
Henderson, just hold him up. Well played. Two of you. There's two of you. There was two of them, bro.
Where was Trent going?
Nah, there was two of them. There was two of them, bro.
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 I'm upset. Really, like, deep down in my heart. Like, oh, man. Oh. What?
Welcome back to the Top 6 show on the Football Terrace. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Liverpool's turn to be memed up today. Big up to JJ for turning up. Callum had excuses of picking up his children. Ironically, Louis had the same excuse and he's still a virgin. So well done, JJ, for turning up and having your coming on defending your club today. Egal is, of course, here with the biggest balls on football YouTube. No doubt about it. Neat is here to back Manchester United. Patty's here on the trail of defending the brilliant and the might of Tottenham. And back making an appearance, lo and behold, after Chelsea start winning games again, Daniel is back. Evening, gentlemen. How are we all doing?
There was two of them, bro.
It's so good you see them twice. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah,
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. We're still keeping in the mix. So yeah,
Keeping in what?
Keeping in contention, still in the mix. We're still there.
I just want to say, viewers, there's lots to talk about tonight. We will, of course, be talking Arsenal-Liverpool and the fallout from that. How good are Arsenal? How bad are Liverpool? Is it the end of the Liverpool era? We will be talking, not many channels have yet, but we will be talking about the situation with Jordan Henderson, what we think, what we feel, and what we believe should happen from this point. Before you start going, well, you can't say guilty until you... No one's saying he's guilty. We're saying what should happen from this point. We're talking about that. Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and much, much more. We'll look ahead of the Champions League and Europa nights as well on the show. But you need to smash like buttons, subscribe. I want to say a big thank you as well to everyone yesterday. Over 100,000 views on the Arsenal match reaction, which is phenomenal. Me and my Arsenal brothers, we are so proud of the... Oh, no, let it out the bag again. No. Do you know what I nearly did today? I nearly wore an Arsenal shirt just for shits and giggles, but I thought, no, I can't.
You get cancelled. Don't do
lots,
that.
Lots to talk about. And I want to delve into it as soon as possible. The polls are going to go up for you all, the viewers, to vote for what comes next. What comes next on the show. The first poll's out there, and who has won with 38% of the vote is Man United. Can they make the top 4? What are we... Hang on a minute. Where's the curtain, Daniel?
I know.
I can't hear you.
You're on mute.
The curtain's left.
Loses the curtain. There's no mic.
No sound.
He's frozen.
The curtain left with Lukaku.
He's going to go out and come back in. First question, Neeks. Manchester United, can they make the top 4?
Listen, if Liverpool keep doing what they're doing or not doing what they're doing, as the case is, I think it is open, because I obviously, like everyone, I'm sure in their predictions had Liverpool in their team. In their top 4 predictions at the start of the season. So once they're no longer there, it's open season. Anyone can get it. And I had Chelsea outside, I had Man United outside. Chelsea have gone through their a rocky period. Tuchel being sacked, etc. For me, it's open. It's open to get it. We won 4 in a row and lost to Man City. Some people thought our season is done because we lost 6-3, but we also have to understand it's Man City, and Man City are a very, very, very good team. The way we played last night, I think that was a very impressive victory. On the face of it, you say, oh, it's Everton. Everton are bad. Lampard's bad. Easy win for Man United. Anyone going to Goodison Park, I'll be surprised if you get an easy victory. They conceded the least amount of goals in the league before last night. I think it was 9. And going behind, it's the first time we won a league game under Ten Hag after going behind. I think that was a very big victory. The way we played for larger points of that game compared to other games, not just 20-minute spells, etc. After going behind, I think was very good. I think at one point we were like 95% possession versus in the first half for a sustained period. So if we continue to play like that, and we've already got results against Liverpool, against Arsenal, a derby, we'll see what happens in the second game. I don't see why I can't rule us out of the top 4. Yeah, there's teams that are further ahead, teams who I say have better squads, but I can't rule us out. We're getting good results at the moment, and we're building under Ten Hag. I don't like how Egal's just trying to.
I completely disagree. I just think Manchester United are still in the growing phases. You guys are still gonna find it difficult playing against Tottenham, Chelsea before the World Cup. And I still think games like Newcastle, West Ham, I can still see you guys dropping points. I don't think you guys are playing as good as you guys could play to consistently churn out results. Sometimes you guys are gonna find that it's gonna be tough to get these wins. And I just believe that this team is still in the early phases of Ten Hag, which you guys are, and there's going to be a lot of growing pains. Sometimes you're going to find out that some of these players who have been playing well at the beginning of the season come a month's time are not even going to be in the team because Ten Hag is still tinkering with the team. And I don't know, and I just don't see a solid 11. I don't see a team that is fully functioning, which I shouldn't, of course. And I just feel like this. To expect Manchester United to get top 4 this season, I think you would be ahead of the curve.
But so one second, Daniel. One second. I know you're itchy to come in, but I don't think it's a case of I expect us to get it. I don't. I'm saying a spot has opened up. The fact that Liverpool have been so poor, and I think that's a fair assessment.
I think that spot opened up for Chelsea. Honestly,
it may well have. I had Chelsea above us in the prediction, but for me, I didn't have us miles behind Chelsea in the first place. So if it's opened up for Chelsea, for me, it's opened up for Manchester United as well. And I'm not saying I expect us to get it, but to rule us out at this point, I can't. For me, it wouldn't make sense to say we're definitely not going to get it. However,
let's not forget. What I
was going to say is, we're talking about top 4 race, not a title race. Teams can drop a lot of points and still get top 4. We saw the end of last season how Arsenal lost 3 in a row. Yet we're still favourites to get top 4 until you lost to Spurs. And then you still should have got it, but you lost to Newcastle. Season before that, 66 points was getting top 4. So I think, we're going to, we'll struggle against Newcastle. We'll struggle against West Ham. And then we may beat a Spurs. We may beat a Chelsea. Obviously not at Stamford Bridge. We know how they got the refs in the pocket. But, and still drop points and end up in the top 4 because it's a top 4 race. It's always going to be a lot of drop points as opposed to, big runs of wins after wins after wins. So I'm just saying, I think, it's open. That's what I'm saying. It's open.
I think the fact that you guys aren't top of your group in the Europa League, if you don't finish top of your group in the Europa League, it's going to hinder you a lot more. And I still think, obviously, your squad, you do have really good players, but they just haven't been playing well over the last couple of years. If Ten Hag can get something out of it, it's not plausible, but I just feel like there's other teams that are better than you and more equipped to get it ahead of Manchester United.
Look, I think I asked a question. I mean, look, we played all right last night. I make us outsiders at best. Outsiders at best. Who knows what's going to happen elsewhere? Will Spurs fall away? Will Chelsea? We're speaking Chelsea later. It's difficult, but I'm really quite happy with where we are right now. After that start, bouncing back after getting beat by Manchester City, we're not and you all, probably barring Daniel and JJ. No, sorry, only Patrick was there. You all weren't at the Football Terrace kind of live event we did. And everyone was predicting a 7th, 8th. Boovy on the panel was saying, I don't even know if Man United are going to finish inside the top half of the table. After those first 2 games, people were talking about relegation. So to be sitting 5th now, and if we win our game in hand, which was the game against with the weekend where everybody else played and we didn't, that was actually the Leeds game. We nearly always beat Leeds. We'd be on 18 points, 2 behind Tottenham. So, and I believe we'd beat Leeds. So to be that close to teams like Tottenham, who are being looked at as outside chances for a title charge, I think I'm quite happy. I'm also liking the fact that we are kind of underdogs for the top 4 in the context of this season. So I'm not getting ahead of myself right now, but watching the game back last night with no nerves, we were really quite good. We're nervy towards the end, and that's because I don't think there is the trust, even within themselves yet, that we can see these games through. But some great blocks, a last-minute header from Varane in the game yesterday, which I didn't even notice in full time, in normal time, which if he doesn't get his head on the ball, Pickford does a bit of an Alisson and scores an equaliser. That would have been heartbreaking. We obviously should have scored a 3rd goal. Based on the laws of the game, Rashford's goal should have stood because Pickford made a save. Therefore, it was second phase. And I saw an ex-referee explain why Antonio stood. And then when he was explaining Rashford's, the journalist said, well, so why doesn't that count the second phase? And he just didn't answer the question because he realized, I'm going to throw the officials under the bus here. So we should have had a 3rd goal, put the game to bed. Good win for Man United, but it's step by step. We're not at the levels of City. We're not at the levels of Arsenal yet. We've got a long way to go. But yeah, happy with the mini turnaround still. And it's just a shame that Queen Elizabeth died. For her and her family, but we were in the ascendancy going into those 2 games. And that's true. Like momentum's, like sometimes the international break can come at the right and the wrong time for teams. Like that break and then the international break was the worst thing for Man United because it just slowed momentum. And then we had to go to City, who of course destroyed us. But I'm happy with what we're doing. I am. I think we're in a good space. But I agree with you, Egal. We're an outside chance of making the top 4.
To be fair, though, you should, kind of defer to Egal anyway, because he's the. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, hear you, bro.
Yeah, he's basically like the expert on like this process stuff. So like when we talk about processes and believing in a process, Egal's the guy you should go to. But before obviously we carry on, I have to say I've missed you all. I've missed the terrace. Obviously,
I missed you too, Pranyo. PR Daniel.
I've been watching. Just an update. I'm alive. I'm good and well. Just a lot of things have happened. The reason why the curtains aren't here anymore is because I've moved house. Unfortunately, fortunately, whatever you want to say about that, I moved to a much nicer place now. So,
first question on that: what's it like living with Anita?
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. It's gonna start a rumor mill. Don't do that. But in all seriousness though, it's been good, man, and obviously more responsibility at work. So yeah, just been extremely busy. But I'm back. I'm gonna be here. So yeah, man, get your jokes in quickly because I'm gonna be returning them. So
in fairness, all banter aside, Daniel told us before the Tuchel slip and the sacking that he weren't going to be on for a while, but it was perfect timing to, of course, banter you. And I did it to George the other day. He couldn't make it, so I was like, yeah, everyone, he's bottled it. Like it weren't that he got caught up at work. But narrative's a narrative, mate. But yeah, I mean, what's your take on United, Dan? I haven't heard your opinion pretty much since we were getting battered in those opening 2 games.
United, it's an interesting one because really and truly, if you just followed football on Twitter, you would think that United are one of the worst teams in the league or one of the worst big teams in the league in terms of the results that they've been able.
Mate. Just follow Egal.
No, but seriously though, if you do follow United, you'd think everything was turmoil. Like every mistake, everything that happens at United, like it gets spoken about. If someone has a bad game, you know they've had a bad game. I mean, the live commentary during the game, Casemiro was having one of the worst games on earth, and then he suddenly ends up with man of the match. Obviously, I did watch the game. I wouldn't have necessarily given him man of the match, but I still think he had a very good game for his first start. And obviously, no matter how good you are, you need to settle into the Premier League. Like that's just a given. So I think Casemiro is going to come good, and United fans shouldn't be worried that he maybe dilly-dallied on the ball a little bit too much. Like Thiago Silva made a high-profile error in his first of a Chelsea game, so I think Casemiro will be fine. But Man United, I just think it's a weird one, man, where it could go either one or two ways. I don't know yet what side of the spectrum I fall on, but they're finding their feet somehow. I mean, Ten Hag that is slowly finding the right pieces that he wants to use. I think the game against Everton was a good sign in terms of, if I was a United fan, I'm happy to not see McTominay at the top of the midfield three in terms of that, and Casemiro might be getting his trust back. I think putting in Martial, despite him getting an injury, obviously, you can see what type of front three that he wants going forward. Rashford getting back to a little bit of form as well. I still think Rashford's all-round play can improve, but in terms of getting on the goal-scoring sheet that we know Rashford can do, he's coming back to form. I think Anthony is a good player. I think he's looking really sharp. I really like how he took his goal. I do think he went quiet in the second half, but again, if your impact is enough in the first and you don't need to do anything in the second, then you can only be happy about that. If anything, the only worry I'd say like United should have, and they should just be taking each game as it comes and see where you end at the end of it, because really and truly, no one had big expectations for United. The only worry I would say about the team is Sancho, really, that he's just not really like explosive, or he doesn't like. It's just weird. Like even when he scores in games, like you just think, can you do a little bit more for me? Like, what do you provide for me? Do you know what I mean? Going forward, just because of the money that you spent for him and the hype that he came with. But apart from Sancho, I think, and he got dropped. Like apart from Sancho, I think United fans, especially, no one was giving you lot props at the beginning of the season, myself included. Obviously, I didn't get to give predictions at the beginning of the season, but I didn't think United were going to do much this season. Like, you never know where you could be. Like, you've literally, apart from the City game, I'm right in saying that you've won every other game.
No, they lost to Brighton.
In the run, though. I know they lost to Brighton in the last 5 games, though.
Outside of those opening 2 defeats, we played 5 games since then, and we've played 6 games since then, and we've won 5. I think what's interesting with our run as well, though, out of those 6 games we've played, the 2 home games were against Liverpool and Arsenal. We won them. All the other games were away. So what's nice is we've got a cluster of home games coming as well, which is always nice to have as well. So I think there's some positives for Man United, no doubt. There's some super chats here that I want to jump into. I want to see if they're actually relevant to what we're talking about. This is from Chelsea Blue that says City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, United. Thinks Brighton are going to stay the course over Tottenham and Liverpool. That's an interesting.
That is laughable, but of course it's a Chelsea fan, so of course, yeah.
There are a couple of other super chats. They're related to Henderson and situation with Liverpool, the game yesterday. So we will come back to your super chats later when they're actually on point. And that kind of brings us on to our next subject. And I know everyone spoke on that, but obviously we want to keep it flowing. There's lots to get through today. The next one the subject has been voted for by the viewers with 51% of the vote is Henderson's investigation. Now, everyone's entitled to give their view and give their opinion on this the way in which they want. We've got some footage that was taken by somebody in the crowd, so it isn't Sky Sports footage of the situation, which we're going to put onto the screen right now if I can find it. Here it is. This is the altercation that TV didn't actually show, but this is what a fan filmed. That's kind of the scenario there. I mean, it didn't show, like, it doesn't show, you can't see any lip reading, but you really do see Gabriel, when you watch close, turn around and say what to Henderson, says something, tells the referee. Henderson turns around, obviously looking a little bit sheepish. But the FA have said they're investigating this. There's been an allegation of words being exchanged. They haven't told anybody what it is yet. There is, of course, a view. I don't see what else the FA investigates unless it is connected to racism or xenophobia. Personally, I've never heard of a player swearing at another player and it being investigated by the FA without someone explaining why. So we are assuming that. I want to ask JJ first, as a Liverpool fan, like, what's your take on this, and what do you think? How do you think things should be conducted from this point?
I mean, first of all, the way I see it is obviously, look, innocent until proven guilty. There's a loads of obviously different things that are coming out. I want to put it out there. Obviously, if he's gone and said anything, obviously racist, xenophobic, whatever it is, then he has to be treated as such. So whether it's been, do you know what I mean, put on a ban, whether Liverpool release him of his contract. But to caveat that, if you look at Henderson's history with kind of racism and even Black Lives Matter back when that was going on, Henderson was a massive figure in pushing for that, pushing for, do you know what I mean, players to take the knee. So we're left in a precarious situation because we don't know as fans what's really been said. Now, there's talks that Henderson said something in regards to Partey that obviously Gabriel and Xhaka tried to, do you know what I mean? And we all know about that situation. Don't really want to get into it. It's a difficult one. It's a weird one because it's reminiscent of obviously the situation that Liverpool had with Suarez, and now the club, you know, are going to take a completely different stance to what they did back when Suarez had this situation with Evra because of obviously the PR blowback from that. So, I mean, we have to just wait and see. We have to wait and see. I think to go and start judging, I mean, like, oh, he's gone and said this needs to happen to him. We have to wait until all the evidence is gathered up, what other players see. I know for a fact that, I mean, Klopp and the way Liverpool are run, if there's any truth to the kind of the racist, if there's any truth in the racist kind of remarks or derogatory terms regarding race, Henderson will be dealt with accordingly, and it will be strict because you're talking about a team that is very multicultural. I mean, this isn't a team that it is dominated by one demographic of people. So it's going to get looked at. I mean, he's the captain of Liverpool. Me personally, I struggle to believe it's that, but I'm also not ignorant to the fact that he could have said something. So I have to just wait to see what the evidence is. But it's a weird one. It's a weird one. And to be fair, we don't, like I said, neither manager wanted to go and kind of entertain the conversation or express what was even spoken about at the touchline, like midway through the game as well. So we have to just wait and see. I think that's the most I can really say on it, to be fair. So I wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I wanted to talk about this morning. I nearly made content on it. And I echo what you've said, that the innocent until proven guilty element has to stand. Equally, I from my stance, I want the FA to investigate this fully. The reason I feel that it's something along those lines that has been reported is I don't know what else you investigate. I can't wrap my head around what else you would investigate. Sorry, Dan, go on.
But then that's my thing, though. I think personally, how I've interpreted it is, and disclaimer, this is not me making a full judgment because obviously none of us have the full evidence. But I saw what Arteta said in his post-match presser, and he said that what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch, and he was laughing about it. So if I struggle to believe that it's racism if Arteta spoke like that, and he was kind of speaking a little bit like he was a bit coy when he was in the press conference and smiling and saying, "Yeah, it stays on the pitch." So if it does turn out to be racism, he actually looks like a big idiot, like because he obviously has been told what apparently was said. True. Do you know what I mean? So it actually, in my head, I'm seeing that it cannot be racism. Like,
you know, the thing is, Daniel, I think something that Jay just said is like we can't be ignorant to the fact that he could have said something.
Of course.
And even from Arteta's reaction, the reason why I say that is because when we saw what happened with Bernardo Silva and Benjamin Mendy, and Pep's reaction to that publicly, and remember, it wasn't like this wasn't an instant post-match. We heard what happened. We saw what happened on social media, and I'm sure, yeah, Pep's reaction was kind of, joke between friends.
He's not like that. They're friends. No,
yeah,
but that even though
so the point I'm making is I don't know what was said. We don't know what was said. But what Arteta might see as what stays on the pitch, what happened on the pitch stays on the pitch, ain't necessarily what I might think as he shouldn't.
No. But see, but why that's
there's differences in it in culture.
No, but why that's a key point is that even though what Pep said is unacceptable, like it's wrong because he was basically sympathizing, saying that they are friends and that, and just being a little bit ignorant of what was actually done, the act that was done. Arteta has said what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. That there's no like misinterpreting that. So if it does come out, so I'm not even saying that I refuse to believe that Henderson.
No, what I'm saying, but Arteta's saying that doesn't disprove, so to speak. I know you're not saying that, but it doesn't. Of course,
I'm saying it's bad on him. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to say, though. Actually, go, Egal. Yeah, go on.
I'll just say this. I don't know. No one knows what was said, obviously, but I have not seen Gabriel react like that. And did you guys see Granit Xhaka's reaction to it also? So obviously, some words were exchanged that were extremely hurtful. Now, what those words are and to the level of them, I would hope that Jordan Henderson, being somebody who's been such an advocate, as you said, JJ, would not take it to that level. Maybe it was something subconscious that he said that he might regret afterwards. But like, I hope that he didn't take it to the level that we would think that would garner an investigation.
It
And that's all I gotta say.
One thing
like a headbutt for it. So
one thing I'd say in regards to that type of stuff, I know for a fact, in the kind of world we are with social media and being able to have your own platform, I do believe if Henderson went and said something like that, Gabriel would come out and do a post on Instagram in the forthcoming days saying that this is unacceptable, because players are now putting a stand with those types of things, but not, do you know what I mean, 20 years back in the day where it's just the papers that release everything. It does suggest to me, like from what I've heard, that it is in regards to obviously part in the situation that involved him. So that might have been a thing where obviously Arsenal players will go and take offense to that, because ultimately that is their colleague, that is their friend.
I mean,
and they will also respond like that, but we don't know what it is.
That could also look crazy in a few months' time as well. Like I mean, I've also heard those rumors as well today. I think that's a really good point. Actually, I didn't think about it from that point of view, as you say.
Why is the girl surprised?
Maybe
I'm like, this is the first. The whole time I thought it was something around racism.
No, well, I've seen these rumors as well today, but that was a point I was alluding to earlier. Is I want it fully investigated, whatever it is. But equally, I've seen so many people showing their asses. So you see people. How dare you? Someone said to me, "How dare you share that video footage? You're going to create speculation." I'm like, no, I'm keeping it alive because I want to know what it is, and I don't like the idea of things maybe being dragged, like brushed on the carpets. I've seen people say it goes, how can Arsenal fans have a go at Henderson? Whatever he said, they're happy for Partey to play, and he's been accused of this, and it's like, see, the thing about these situations, which I hate and love at the same time, is it shows people's true colors, and what you'll be able to find. I do it. I see someone write something like that, and then I check out their account and I look at things they've posted in the past. And these people will post, rainbow flags and black squares and say, I'm all for this. And then when a football player at their club is maybe accused of something, suddenly they become Donald Trump. And it's almost like, I enjoy seeing it because there's so much fake virtue out there, these pseudo-moralistic stances from people. So I hope and pray it was just an exchange of words and something nasty was said, but nothing that is essentially illegal, if that makes sense. What if it's about someone's family or even his hairline? Well, if it's about someone's family or hairline, it's wrong, but you shouldn't be getting. If someone says your mum, there should be no investigation for that, bro. Like that's.
Materazzi said something to Zidane, and he got a headbutt. Materazzi didn't get punished. Zidane obviously got his red card in the World Cup final.
Because you're allowed to do it.
But you say it, innit?
But there's nothing illegal, or there's no rule that says you can't call someone a name. It's essentially.
One of your members, Nevin, said he said your hair job is shit compared to Terry's. So,
KJ got done there, bruv. That's why KJ. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, he's saying that.
Gabriel's hairdo. Yeah. Mine's elite, bruv. Mine's elite. He went Turkey. I went.
He's got his hair done too.
No, KJ don't need it doing.
I'm sorry to be so random, but if this is so random, but if Zidane said he wanted to play for France again, is he suspended for 3 games?
Yes, he is. No, I think he is.
No, he might be, but I think he had some kind of punishment retiring anyway. I think FIFA may have fined him or did something anyway.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure.
Okay. There we go. But I think we'll see what happens with this thing with Henderson. But the bit that stood out to me was people showing their backsides again straight away, like blindly defending or attacking everybody else. And it's a case of, I think it's worth having a conversation. But yeah, let's wait and see what someone said. Are you going to do a full-length video on it? I said I will when I know what's been said or the accusation. Until then, there's not much to say. But I didn't want to not speak about it because I must have had about 25 DMs and you've got to speak about it. Why are you not talking about it? And I'm like, all right, I will. But I pretty much knew what the responses were going to be.
And
but
you know what I think, Terry?
Go on, mate.
A lot of people in the chat and just on Twitter and everything making comparisons to the Partey situation and this situation. One, something's happened on the field and we don't have all the facts. And to just go based off go based off what we've seen and speculate is wrong. In the same sense, everyone's comfortably able to do that based on the little information they know on what's going on with Thomas Partey also. So let's not speculate either way.
Just be careful with that one, innit? But yeah.
Bro, I'm just saying, because people are drawing me and saying, "Oh, Egal, why are you talking about either one?" It's not about talking about either one.
Well, I look at it this way with the Thomas Partey thing. He's nothing. Arsenal doing nothing wrong, but I said this at the time. I just looked at it like I gave advice to a few Arsenal friends of mine that were celebrating him coming back, and I just said, be mindful because none of us know the ins and outs. He may be 100% innocent, and your tweet never looks bad. In 6 months, your tweet could look awful. They deleted their tweet. I mean, just remember, you've got a social media footprint. Be very careful what you put out there. You know, these people out there defending Jordan Henderson, if it turns out he's done something horrendous, someone's already screenshotted you. So just don't do it. Just keep your powder dry and wait. That's what I would say. Viewers, make sure you're smashing that like button. Over 3,000 of you watching, which is amazing. But let's get the likes up. If we hit 1,000 while we're live, we will gift out some more free memberships to all of you. The next talking point that's been voted in, we knew this was going to be the next talking point, and there's going to be lots of branches off this. We're looking at the decisions in the game, the penalties. We're looking at Liverpool fans are making a play that Martinelli maybe should have got sent off for a challenge on Trent. We've got it all to come up. So we're going to be talking Arsenal smashing 3 past poor Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium yesterday. I want to go to you first, Egal, because obviously your team won, top of the league. You got rid of the hoodoo over not beating Liverpool. How are you feeling sort of 24 hours later, young man?
You know what? We watched the game. We got Trent subbed off at halftime. We got Mo Salah, who's one of the best players, subbed off. And we also got, I think, their right side center back subbed off. And the man of the match was Gabriel Martinelli, who was the same guy who these Liverpool fans were saying, "Oh, let's bring Martinelli to Anfield." And guess what? After all that today, rumors had coming out that he might be signing a new contract. I'm ecstatic, Terry. We're playing great football. We're one of the best teams right now in the league, performing like it. Our players are stepping up. Bukayo Saka, big game player. Some of the players who were completely done and dusted at this club, like Granit Xhaka, are having remontada. And I think all Arsenal fans deserve this after all the tough times that we've been over the last couple of years. We definitely do deserve this. Obviously, we haven't accomplished anything major yet, but it's just to see your team performing so well, to see your team winning games comfortably at times, and then also in these big games getting the results, back-to-back wins at home versus Tottenham and Liverpool, and breaking that hoodoo over Liverpool that we had. I'm just very happy. And the most important thing is, I feel like, call me crazy, but I feel like this might be a little bit of a passing of the torch. I feel like this might be a little. This might be the game we look back at and we say, you know what, this was the moment you've seen Arsenal actually start to be taken more serious. And you look at Liverpool and you say, you know what, this is where they left themselves too much business to get done in the transfer.
So basically, your title contenders. That's what you're saying.
No, hear me out.
No, that's what you're saying.
Hear me out. Before you start putting words in my mouth, understand what I'm saying.
Liverpool for the last 4 years.
Understand what I'm saying. I am merely speaking about the trajectories of the two clubs based on what they're looking like at this moment in time. And you know what? Liverpool could fix that by making some signings and maybe going out and addressing some of their needs. But at the same time, Arsenal have been doing that. Liverpool have left themselves too much business to get done, too many holes in their squad. A couple of their players are aging. They still have a very decent squad, but when you look at their depth is not as good as it used to be. And I just look at this team that Liverpool have in comparison to Arsenal. We just look more exciting. We look like we're playing better football. And I just feel like we're on the rise in comparison to them being a little bit in their decline. And that's just where I'm standing. This whole title race stuff, you know what? We'll come back in January. If we sign our own, if we sign 2 players in January.
Agal, you said you're looking like one of the best teams. You are the best team in the league right now.
Yes, we are. We're exactly.
Hey, I got you.
No, but JJ,
title challenge now. You can't.
You just said it. You just said it.
You and Jess as well.
Hey, bro, 14 points ahead of Liverpool. I never thought that was going to happen at this point in the season.
There you go. Talk your talk again. Say it with chest.
We replaced you in your position. We're literally in your position at this moment in time, where you should be in the table.
So it's your title challenge. Your title challenging team. Then
he just said it. He said he's the best team in the league. He's title contender.
You heard it.
Listen. I agree. At this moment in time, it looks like we're in a title challenge, but it doesn't mean we're going to keep up. We're going to keep it up until the end of the season.
Okay.
Nice.
You get what I'm saying?
this is the funny. Sorry, this is the
But
funny thing.
I like how you took all the positives and you try to make it into a thing where it's like, oh, you're a title challenge. Guess what? Any one of you guys in this position would be ecstatic, and you'd love to replace your position with me.
No. I'm not saying it's a negative, Egal. I'm saying you're positive. I'm saying as a fan base, you need to start owning it, because if you don't own it and you end up not doing it, you're going to be like,
why though?
You
know why? Because we generally came into the season expecting the team to just get into the top 4, and we still can see glaring holes in our squad, similar to how Chelsea last year had glaring holes in their squad. You look at our squad, I feel like we still need one more defender to fix up that whole team, either another left center back or a right back. A midfielder is key, because if Thomas Partey goes down, we've seen what happened to us against United. And also with Saka, Jesus, and these guys playing well, that's great. But when you look behind them, who's really a winger who's going to come in? Marquinhos is still very young. Reece Nelson, we haven't really seen much from him. And Emil Smith-Rowe is out until December. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're winning the league. No, that's not happening.
No one said about winning the league, but you said you're the best team in the league, and you said that you're title challengers. So we've taken that.
I never said we're title challengers, but you know what we are, Patrick?
You
we are
did say that.
One second, we are exactly what Tottenham thought they were. We're playing scintillating football. One second,
you're 4 points ahead of us. Like, chill out. Like, really, like, come on, let's be sensible.
We're exactly what Tottenham thought they were. We're a team that's playing scintillating football, flying. Our transfers and our signings that we made in the window were actually fantastic. Everything you were saying coming into the season is what Arsenal is, and Tottenham are in the position that you thought Arsenal were going to be in, which is you're still not sure about their football. There's still some questions over some of your signings. One injury and 2 injuries, and it looks like your squad is depleted.
But that's the same for any team, though. What do you mean? Like, if you have 1 or 2 injuries to your key players, you're being exactly like, I don't even understand.
We had injuries.
You know, we're 4 points behind you. You know that, right? You're first, we're third. You're acting like we're in 10th or something. We're actually third in the league. We've lost 1 game this season. So with all of that, with all the shit you're saying, it's just nonsense. Do you know what I mean?
No, but it's not nonsense.
It is nonsense. You're saying that everything that we thought that you guys would be, you ain't done anything yet. Do you know what I mean? We're 9 games in. It's October, bro. Like, really, like, it's mad.
Before we played you, and you said, you know what, that's going to be the real
mad. It is mad. It is mad to say.
We beat Liverpool, and
I'm
here saying, put respect on our names, because every single one of you guys might have been listening to us talking shit the whole summer, but now you're actually seeing it. You got to wake up and smell the coffee.
Okay, Egal. All right. Just keep the same energy all season,
bro.
Please.
I kept the same energy all year long.
You called us out. No, you didn't, because like you called us out last year. You called us out. You told us to come outside, and the last show of the season, you was on here crying. You was in tears. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was getting on to you. You was upset. So like, please just allow it, innit? And I saw after the game, you had your little notepad and you called me out and you called this person out, and you just keep the same energy, because you still got to come to White Hart Lane.
Okay, you keep the same energy.
All these I will. I'm here.
What about Bukayo Saka? You were saying Bukayo Saka's not this good guy. He's not that good. He's not that good. You're making
Bukayo Saka's
players right now are performing like 2 of the best wingers in the league. Talk about it, my guy. Talk about some of the positives. You want to bring down.
Saka's playing well, but I've not said anything really about him this season. He's playing well. Martinelli looks good, but we're 9 games in. Do you know what I mean? And for you to call us out when we're only 4
we were only 5 games in earlier. We were only 4 games in earlier. We're only 3 games in earlier. How many games is it going to take you?
Listen. We was top of the league with Jose Mourinho, a couple years ago, and you saw how it all fell apart. You've won a lot of games, and you're looking good right now, but it can easily go the other way as well, Gal. Come on, let's not act like you guys are Man City or Liverpool, where you've got history of going on winning runs. You haven't. So just chill out a bit, take time, and just relax. Enjoy the ride, but don't go too early. You're not though, because you called out Tottenham. You said that we'd all love to be in your position. I remember you did this last year with Neeks. You said to Neeks, "Oh, this is the blueprint. You need to do what we're doing." And then when Neeks got onto you, just chill a bit, innit? Just relax.
I'm not even going to make this about United, but United are doing a similar process. It's just not as being spoken about as much. What they're doing is they're trying to figure out what players in. They brought a new manager in, and they're taking their time. Let's not make it seem like
what I would say, like, I've been gassed up a lot this year. Let me just say, that's what all clubs do.
That's what I just said, Terry. The last words that I said that came out of my mouth, all clubs do that. But you're making it seem like, oh, they're not. It's not the process that teams.
Can I just ask a question?
Arsenal were in that process. We were getting ridiculed every single week.
Ask
Finished
Egal, can I ask you a
eighth and
question?
fifth. That's why you got
Quickly,
ridiculed,
one
not
sec.
because you sacked
We got
Emery.
ridiculed because we deserved it at times.
Just quickly, Egal. I just want a question because you lot have your argument. But do you think that your front four, front three is better than Tottenham's front three?
That's not what I'm saying. We're playing better than.
I just asked the question. That's it.
Listen, when fully fit, they have a better front three because Son and Kane are world class to a certain or play at a world class level at times. But when you look at our team, we are functioning better. We have a better first 11, and right now, if you take our first 11 against any team in the league when fully fit, I believe we can beat any team in this league when fully fit.
But anyone can say that though. Anything can be any team when fully fit. Do you know
No,
what I mean?
come on.
He's asking a straight up question, and you've gone around in circles. Come on. Any team can be any team. Bournemouth lost a lot of games in a row.
You know what I mean?
Come on. Do you know what I mean? Come on.
Son isn't world class.
Guys, I want to go into we are going to speak Liverpool in a bit. I want to go into the game because there were some controversial decisions, and viewers, you want to get your take on this as well. We've got some super chats first that I want to do. It says the only fans allowed to speak on Arsenal are the ones who have seen their team win a league on colour TV. Spurs fans, is what Oli says there. Let's do a few more.
To be fair, I wasn't saying anything. He called me out. He said about Tottenham and this and that. But I responded.
Patrick hiding his tears right now. Egal cooking.
Gal's burnt the food, man. He's overdone it.
I can taste. I can taste Patrick's tears. Fossil Football FC. I'll come back to the Chelsea stuff later. Samad, I've seen it there. Aubameyang is so bitter. He sounds like an upset ex. Yeah, I know he's come out and apologized, saying that was ages ago. But I love what he said. I was like, oh, he really does have an axe to grind with Arteta. When they play Chelsea, that's going to be really, really cool. I wanted to ask about some of the incidents in the game, though, because there was a few that have stood out, and it's been a really weird day. So we're going to go through them one by one, and viewers, I want your take and I want your view. The first one, the opening goal. There are calls from some people to suggest that Bukayo Saka was offside or VAR guessed.
What? Just look at the image.
What are we saying?
It's hard to say, man. I would probably give him the benefit of the doubt.
The Lionel's too deep. He's supposed to be in line with the last defender. He's in line with Saka, and even probably a bit past him. So that's the first problem. But it's one of those. It's so tight that if the Lionel didn't give it, if VAR didn't exist, it wouldn't have been given because it was so tight. The Lionel didn't flag. If the VAR can't see it because of the blind spots and blah blah blah, then I think it's close enough to say let's go with the on-field decision. Because in one breath, we want to cuss VAR and say, get rid of it. It's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. But then the next instance, we're begging that the VAR works for in every incident. Do we want it or do we not? And if we don't want it, then we have to go with the Lionel's decision. I think the Lionel's decision was give the benefit of the doubt to the attacking team. It's tight. Don't get it twisted. And maybe VAR would have shown he was a millimeter offside. But then you're complaining, oh, that's not what it's there for. A millimeter. No, you're supposed to be this, supposed to be that. So I think if you're going to be reaching in the first minute, say that's the reason why Liverpool lost.
I was sorry, Gal. I was surprised to see this one come up. When I saw it, like kind of lots of people talking, one of the tweet you've sent me and many others, you're talking lots of retweets and likes, a lot of people. What's that meme that, the guy clutching at the straws? That's what this one feels like to me, because it's onside as far as I can see. It looks onside in the image. I don't really understand the grab. Does anybody think it was offside?
No,
I think this is a joke, Terry. If you could pull up the image again, let me just explain something quickly. You see the Liverpool player is actually closer, and that the line of grass is actually adjacent.
No.
Is it not?
No. We can't do this.
Bro,
as much as I agree, one second ago, as much as I agree with what Neeks has said, and I fully, wholeheartedly agree with it. One, I'm not saying that it's onside or offside. We know that we can't judge it. Like, we cannot use our eyes and say that is offside or onside, first of all, because we've seen decisions that we thought, it's definitely onside, and then they've given it as offside because when they put the lines on whatever they use to judge it, da-di-da-di-da. So it's not about that. I'm fine with the decision that was given. However, the point is that I don't understand if the tweet is true, like where they didn't, that it's a blind spot and they couldn't see it. I don't understand why there's a blind spot. Like that is my biggest problem.
That's
I'm not saying it's offside. Just listen to what I'm saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. The blind spot part can't be real because the Emirates has the 360 cameras around the whole stadium. It's one of and
the Emirates, no VAR. It's not
VAR doesn't plug into your cameras.
It doesn't work like that. Obviously, everyone's got the same number of cameras.
Yeah, well, but Dan, I hear you. That's the only reason that I suppose there's a question is why didn't we see the lines? Because when I think generally we've got so used to them now. When you see the lines, you go, yeah, it's minimal, either on or off. But we saw it. Yeah. That's why I think there must be certain angles at certain times with the ball being played at a certain speed that it just can miss every now and then. But it was given onside. It was a goal. There we go. The next incident. Now this was another one that's gone Arsenal's way. I want JJ's opinion on this. Did Gabriel handball it and should it have been a penalty? Was his arm in an unnatural position and shape?
I mean, you've seen it given. Like to say you haven't seen it given, you'd be lying. I mean, look, if that was if we got a penalty for that, it'd be harsh. But I've seen us get penalties. I've seen us get penalties for that also. So it's one way it's 50-50. I think the issue just goes back to just the refereeing decisions and the kind of the consistency in the game with the refereeing decision, because it's just a problem at the moment. I mean, you're looking at like that handball there. That's exactly. I mean, that is an unnatural position in the letter of the game. That is a handball. So it's gone to the benefit of Arsenal. But I mean, come on, for Liverpool fans to start clutching that and saying that's the reason why we lost. I mean, I think we'll get into that later on, but I think that's a bit of a. I mean, that's a stretch. But I mean, if that was a pen, Egal couldn't sit here and be like, "We've been robbed." Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen.
No, because we would still win. But let me say,
wow.
I genuinely I still believe we would still win. But JJ, let me say this: you just said chest. It hit his chest. It hit his chest, but at the same time, it hit his chest and then it hit his hand. If you
it didn't. It hit straight. It hit his arm straight. It hit his arm straight.
1 second. Anybody who actually hasn't watched the video, I implore you to watch the video.
I've watched it a few times. Yeah. I heard that excuse from Arsenal fans.
But irrespective of that, I agree with JJ that I would be egregious, as I was Burnley away when Pepe, it hit his hand directly in the box, but they ruled it that it was too close and they didn't give it. Last year, I think they were giving those kind of goals. This year, it doesn't seem like they're giving it. But I still feel like it deservedly so. Some people will be outraged, and I understand it, and I would be upset that if it wasn't given to me. But hey, I get it that they changed the rules, and that's probably why it wasn't given.
JJ, you might be the nicest Liverpool fan ever. That is 1,000% a penalty.
No. But the problem is, do you know what it is though? I can go and scream about it's a penalty, but because we haven't played well and because I'm fuming, I'm not going to stand here and die on my sword and say that's the reason why we. Of course, I'm saying that's a massive decision in the game. Facts. That's a massive decision in the game because that goal, given a penalty, do you know what I mean that could change the swing of the game. Do you know what I mean? Egal saying we could have went and won. I mean, that first half, you know what I mean? A lot of the time, you weren't as good as you were in other games. Credit to you guys won, but you weren't as good as you were in the previous games. And you were getting more or less popped off with Thiago and Henderson, just them two in midfield, which do you know what I mean? Which is a bit of a madness. But, come on, like, it is a 50-50 because I've seen those not given, but I've also seen this season, Egal, you're saying the rules been changed. It hasn't been changed. Because this season, I'm not going to start lying and saying I remember the game from the top of my head. I think it was a Tottenham game, but it was a Tottenham game where there was a penalty given for the same type of thing. He's gone up for a header and it's hit his hand. So, you know what I mean?
That's a penalty.
Yeah, it's a penalty all day long, man. I was so shocked when they didn't give it. The SAKA goal, when they said SAKA was offside for the first goal, he's onside, and we always want to give the advantage to the attacking team. So even as a Spurs fan, I'm not going to sit here and say Arsenal should be penalised. But that one, for me, is clear handball. His hand was in an unnatural position, and he gained an advantage by stopping the ball going through. So I was surprised that they didn't give it, but, you know.
Hit his chest. But I just want to say something, JJ. I agree. Liverpool, from when we scored that opening goal until Saka scored, you guys had a lot of control of the game. But second half, we changed the game, and Xhaka started overlapping Martinelli, which stretched you guys and gave Martinelli more space inside, and that's how we gained more control of the game. Somehow, you guys couldn't adjust to the tactics that we did in the second half.
Of course,
I believe regardless.
But
And
if you're talking about the decision, Egal, it didn't come off his chest. I don't know what video.
I can send it to you right now. I can send it to you right now.
I'm looking at it in slow motion, and it does touch his chest because you can see the shirt move. When I say touch his chest, I'm going to be really neutral on this. You see the shirt move. It's clipped him. It hasn't hit his chest and bounced another direction. It would have hit the arm whether it clipped him or not, if that makes sense. So you do see the shirt move. So, I mean, that kind of maybe changes things.
But equally, no, you're right. It does hit. I've seen the video. I've seen the video. I saw when I was talking about it. But that's not the reason it wasn't given, because we've heard the directive since then was that it's a subjective decision based on proximity. Now, for me, it's a handball because his arm is like shoulder height or above, and the hand itself is above the shoulder, but where it hits on his arm is about shoulder height. But it's proximity. But for me, you've got the VAR. I don't know the conversation. I think Terry said this before. We don't know the conversation that's been had with the referee. I think you have to say to the referee, I'm not telling you to change your decision, but go over to the camera and have a look. Just have a look. If you want to keep your decision, keep your decision. But I just think it's so wrong that we see every angle, we see slow-mo, bird's eye view, all that kind of stuff. The referee gets one choice, and the VAR basically says, "All right, we're not gonna."
Yeah. What I'm really confused about with handball law. Yeah, I agree. What I don't understand about the handball law in general right now, I understand it in terms of what it says in the protocols, but why is an accidental handball in the build up to a goal, most of the time disallowed, but an accidental handball when you're defending doesn't always lead to a penalty? Surely they're either handball or they're not handball. And if you make it a sweeping statement, I swear in Spain at one point, if it just hit your hand, it was handball. That was the rule. Like in hockey, the ball touches your feet on purpose or not, there's a foul given. And I almost feel like we need something along those lines. Because you saw Rashford's goal disallowed. Yes, the Skamaka's one was the funniest one all day yesterday because he knew he didn't. I thought he was doing a bit of a Cantona celebration, and then he realized he was like, "That hit my hand. It's going to be disallowed." And then when he celebrated afterwards, why didn't he do that in the first place? Because he knew it hit his hand. It's crazy for me. I don't think this one is a handball. It's as to why. This is by the letter of the law. I can see why it'd be given, and I understand why people say you've got to give it. But whenever I see these ones that are that close, I don't think they should be, because although his arm's in the air, we've all played football. It's not unnatural. I know it looks it because it's a little bit like a tutu kamoon or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And the Egyptian dancing people do at school, right? Like a swan. But your arms do that when you're running and you slow down and you're changing direction. Does that make sense? Even the headed one the other day where someone's arm was in the air. Sometimes Dan Burns was very. Sometimes your arms just do that on the way down. Like if you jump in the air, no one's arms stay by their side.
But this is the problem. The Dan Burn one is given. The Gabriel one isn't. The Antonio one and the Skamaka one.
I agree.
The Rashford one is. That's the real problem.
I agree. So I agree. But I'm staying consistent, and I don't think those types of handballs should be penalties. So I'm going to maintain that consistency and say I don't think they should be given, because if my club concedes one, I don't like it, because I don't think there's no intent. And if you don't intend to handball it and you're within 3 to 4 foot of the player, you can't get out the way. The ball moves too quickly. If that happens and the ball travels 7, 8, 9 yards and hits his arm that was out, and there's no attempt to move out the way, then fair enough. But for me, I understand why it wasn't given, but I do get why Liverpool fans will be aggrieved. And you know what's going to happen as well? Either in the Champions League or this weekend, Liverpool are going to concede one very similarly. That's normally what happens. You'll concede one against City. Haaland gets his 4th goal of the game, and it'll compound it. Like that's how it's going to go. Terry's an Arsenal fan in disguise. No, I just have moral.
He's not in disguise. No, he's not in disguise.
I'm open about it. No, but listen, I've got moral fiber. And when Luke Shaw conceded a penalty in that exact same way against West Ham, I said I think it's a disgrace it was given. So therefore, I can't say this is a penalty. Otherwise, that makes me a liar and a hypocrite. And I'm just not going to do that. I don't change my opinion on things just because my team got punished by something. It's just, I think that's a bit of no disrespect, Ali. You're probably a nice guy, but if you like flip flop that in front of your woman, she's leaving you, bruv. You need to be strong, man. You need to be a strong man. The problem, it's true. Wow. It's the truth. You need to have a strong backbone in life, Ali. And honestly, she'll be out that door. She may not even come through the door. Who knows? The problem we have now is too many sorry, what did that say?
Initiations
with handball. There was the one with Mahrez against Real Sociedad, and then the one Martinez, sorry, against Real Sociedad, and then the one against Middlesbrough. I mean, the weirdest thing about Rashford yesterday, if Rashford squares the ball, it's a goal. As long as you pass it and you don't actually score it yourself, that actually makes no sense. That means
your hand can't assist you, but it can be used to assist your teammate. So that's basically what they're saying.
So as long as you don't get seen by the ref, you could handball it 3 times. You could juggle it with your hands, square it and score. And as long as the referee don't see it, it's a goal. It's fucking
kick it straight at the keeper. They get the rebound and score because the second phase of play. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
TCC here says the ball hit Gabriel's chest first and deflected. Seen a clear clip, no question of handball is what TCC has got to say there. Even as an Arsenal fan, that Gabriel incident was a clear pen. I remember us complaining about Pepe's incident versus Burnley, where we didn't get one. And that's my point. If you're an Arsenal fan that thought Pepe's was a penalty, you have to say this one's a penalty. Otherwise, you're a liar. So that's why I don't do it, because I'm not getting clipped up. I'm not having me saying one's a pen and one isn't, and getting clipped up a meme. I just keep my energy straight.
Someone needs to clip Harry, actually, because he clips everyone.
The way I see it, though, the reason why
I'm ungettable.
The reason why I'm kind of edging with obviously Terry and stuff, saying that, look, I don't think it's necessarily a pen, is because if that was the other way round, I know I'd be fuming. I wouldn't be sitting there saying, oh yeah, you know what, it was a pen. Do you know what I mean? I can't believe what happened. I'd be on Egal's train, innit? So I've got to take off my red tinted glasses sometimes, and I've got to be unbiased. Like, I can't.
The thing is, though, for me though, like as a football fan, like I get that we do the podcast thing, and like you said, no one's trying to get clipped and stuff for being inconsistent and stuff. But I won't lie to you. When I watch Chelsea, I complain at every decision that doesn't go my way. So it's not really about the decisions per se. I just want us to make the right calls, and if they are even if I am to come on and be deluded and say yes, that decision is never changing. So I just want it to be the right call anyway. So that's why, for me personally, those type of handballs, in my opinion, are handballs, because at least the natural when there was no VAR, that I believe that would be given as a pen if the ref sees it. Like there'd be no question of it, because you'd say unnatural position. You just think he's got his hand.
If it was given, VAR wouldn't have overturned it either. Like that's the thing. And ironic, this is what I don't get about clear and obvious anymore. Because if it's too close, and that's why it wasn't given. If it was awarded, then it's a clear and obvious error because he was too close, and it was it's a bit like we're going to move on to the penalty for Arsenal in a minute, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit here. Thank you, Al, for this. There's another one of the other weird ones that's come up in the last. I just want to get a quick take on this. I'm seeing Liverpool fans suggest that Martinelli should have got in trouble for this.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
No way.
Yes,
especially this one. Yes.
100%.
Patrick, why?
Yeah. Because look what happened in our game. And we all know a certain someone got sent off.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's intentional or not, if he didn't mean to do it or whatever. That's a leg breaker. That's an ankle breaker right there. And he deserves to go. It's reckless. And he injured him. And yeah, it's a red card, man. Studs are up, studs are high. It's a red card.
Sorry, Patrick. A quick question. What did Son get sent off for against Everton? What was the incident again?
He broke thingy majigs. What's his name now?
Yeah,
and he got pushed into him. Yeah, he got pushed into him by Serge Aurier, and then he come down on his leg or something, didn't he? On Gomez's leg. And he broke it in two, literally.
Was it
sent off? And it got rescinded.
Yeah, and it got rescinded. Yeah.
But was he not trying to play the ball? Did he kick the ball, clear the ball?
I can't remember it.
I'm sure he was going to like challenge for the ball. He may even got the ball, but the push took him into.
Yeah, took him into him.
In this instance, there was no push, but it wasn't even a tackle. It was. It was a cross. What was it? A cross?
It was a
cross. It can't be. But it can't be. There's already a precedent for this. A West Ham player against Chelsea was sent off 2 seasons ago, where he cleared a ball. So he just booted the ball up the pitch, and his follow through. He caught the guy with studs, and they VAR'd it and sent him off. And then it was rescinded because it wasn't. Martinelli wasn't making a challenge. He was kicking. It's an accident. It's not even a foul.
It's not. it's actually ridiculous to say, oh, what a horrendous challenge from Martinelli on Trent.
It's not a challenge.
It was
Doesn't have to be a
literally,
challenge.
it was,
Doesn't have
that's
to be
what
a
people are
challenge.
trying to say, though. They're trying to twist it into this thing where it was like, oh, look at how Martinelli's doing. He crossed the ball, and the foot that he was using to land it, Trent just coincidentally put his foot there. What is he supposed to do?
Hold on, Egal. If
all
if
his
Trent
weight,
breaks
all
his
his
leg,
weight.
you're trying to tell me, even if he gets rescinded, even if he doesn't, even if he's able to play the next games, if he breaks his leg that way, you're trying to tell me that's fine.
Bro, he has nowhere else to put his foot. He's off balance. He made the cross. One foot is on the ground. The other foot is he just finished the cross and he's putting it down. It's an unfortunate coincidence.
Do you know what?
There was nothing you can do in that situation.
There's been loads of a handball can be unfortunate.
So I'll give you a case in point, JJ. Go back and watch the footage of Antonio Valencia's leg break against Rangers in the Champions League. The player doesn't slide at him. He just kind of jumps next to him, try and block a cross, and lands on his ankle, not even booked. Because it wasn't a challenge. He didn't go at the player with his studs. Does that make sense? So he was next to him and fell on him. And because he fell on him, there wasn't even a booking. It wasn't even looked at as a bad tackle. So players have had their legs broken in football matches and not even been booked when it's an accident. Listen, the still of it, when you look at that as a still, if you just showed that to someone that didn't watch the game and said, what do you think of that tackle? You would go, leg breaker. But it wasn't a tackle. It was just a coming together after Martinelli kicked the ball. It was just an accident. And I don't think there's a law in the game where you can be punished for an accident.
It was Trent's fault. He was late to block the shot.
No, it's no one's fault.
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying before you go crazy, right? He was late to block the cross. He tried to block the cross. Once the cross was already done and he tried to block it, his planted foot that tried to block the cross was the same foot that Martinelli was landing with. So it was unfortunate, but he was late to try to block the cross. Hence,
I think that's it. I think it's unfortunate. I don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think it's unfortunate, and for me, there's no red card. No red card.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a better way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, firstly, someone says here in the comments, why are we even talking about this? I'm just putting out there what fans have been claiming all day, and we're getting fan opinion on it. The final one is an incident before we move on to talking about Liverpool directly. Arsenal's penalty. Dermot Gallagher has said that it was soft. Said that there wasn't enough contact for it to be a penalty. What are you saying, Egal? Is this a stonewall penalty in your opinion?
It is soft, but he kicks him, and he doesn't.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I agree. One second. We've been given that against Leicester. Hector Bellerin kicked a Leicester player in the box. If you kick a player in the box and it's in the box and it's in the attacking third,
was that a kick?
Bro,
was that a kick or grace or touch?
Did he not kick him? Did it touch his head?
Now, I swear, listen, I could touch you more through the camera than that. That was the sock was in his bag, yo. That would have been it.
Bro, I agree with you.
No, Egal, no, stop. If that happened now, if you guys win in 3-2, wait, Egal, wait. If that was 3-2 and that happened to you guys in the end of the box and Salah went and done a little, do you know what I mean? Yeah, you'd be on here today berating Liverpool fans saying, oh, we've been cheated, we want on our winning run. Don't give me that. You're like that. Stop. Take off the Arsenal tinted glasses and just be honest. That wasn't a pen.
Bro, it's soft.
But Dermot is saying it himself.
Bro, it's soft, but they gave it. It's a penalty.
No, but they gave it. But do you think it's a pen, though, Egal? Do you think it's a pen?
Yes or no?
Listen, I didn't think the one that we got against Leicester wasn't a penalty.
Just say yes or no.
Make the question.
But guess what? If you make indirect contact with a player and you stop them in the final third from continuing with their movement, that is a penalty.
No. Do you know
But
why
he didn't stop anyone.
You know why that's not the case? Because in that game, there was also a chance when we're pressing last minutes of that game, and Elliot goes and nicks the ball in front of us.
That's not even comparable. Elliot dived.
That's more of a pen than that kick. That's more of a pen than that kick. I'm not saying it was a pen, but that's more of a pen. But Egal, in the case against Thiago and Gabriel in the Arsenal game, was that a pen? Yes or no?
Bro, it's not a penalty. Elliot dived.
That's exactly.
No. The first one.
The first one.
Bro, I get it that it's soft,
Gabriel.
but the penalty.
Is it a pen?
Yes, because the player touched the guy's foot. You can't.
With a contact sport, Egal, is that a penalty? Yes or no?
Bro, you can't kick someone's leg in the box and try to get away with it and say it's not a penalty.
That was a graze. That wasn't
He
even
was
a kick.
nowhere near. He was nowhere near. Thing. He kicked Jesus' foot. He had no. He had. What is it? How is Jesus?
Daniel said definite
How is
penalty.
Jesus? How is Jesus? How is
Did you
Jesus
say
supposed to
definite penalty
control
in
the
the
ball? 1 second. How is Jesus supposed to control the ball as a footballer in the final third of the box when you're getting kicked? Even if it's the lightest
I've
thing.
seen Jesus get a shoulder barge in the back and control the ball from a 40-yard pass. Don't even give me that. Egal, don't give me that.
It's different
Don't
when
give
you're
me that.
actually. It's different if you're using another limb to control the ball, but if you're using that foot to control the ball, and that's the foot that gets kicked, it's a penalty, bro.
No, but I've seen him control the ball with getting barge in that
Bro,
side.
the same foot, the same.
He's dived to go and get the ball.
Thiago was late. Thiago was
dived.
late. Thiago was late. He tried to go for the ball. Jesus was there before him. His foot was about to get the ball and take it under control. Thiago hit his foot. It's all he has the right to do what he does.
Egal.
Can I just
Jesus
say?
dive? Yes or no?
What?
Did he dive?
Bro, he went down because he got hit in the foot and he had no control.
So yeah.
Can I just say? I'm actually happy.
It is a penalty based on the fact that you deterred him.
No,
from
but the
continuing to
first
play
thing you went
based
and
on
the
committing
first
a foul.
argument, no, but Egal,
You
the
deterred
first
him
argument you
from
said
committing a
was,
foul.
it's because of what happened in that game. That's why it should be a pen. I'm not talking about what happened in that game. I'm saying all things being equal, is that a pen? Yes or no?
Is that a foul on Thiago?
Is that
Is
a
it a
foul?
foul on Thiago?
Guys, I'm going to interject here as a host. Egal,
I
just
think it is a foul,
Egal, answer the question with a straight yes or no. Do you think it's a penalty?
Yes, because it's a foul
Cool.
on Thiago. He was late and he hit Gabriel Jesus.
And that's, do you know what I say, Gal? Sometimes what can be infuriating by you is you give a political answer that people just want to get your direct, honest opinion, not, well, it was given. No, we know it was given. We wouldn't need to ask you for that. We saw it. What do you think?
Can I just say I'm
go on.
happy that Arsenal are getting these 50-50 calls or 60-40 calls in one way, because for too long a narrative has been spouted by Arsenal fans. It's on social media in prominent, YouTube positions that there's an agenda, a referee agenda, Premier League agenda against Arsenal, even dating back to the Invincibles to current day. That is no longer the case. It never was the case, by the way, but it's no longer the case. 8 wins out of 9. Decisions are going your ways. Red cards that you could have gotten against Man United not being given, penalties that you could have been given away against Liverpool not being given. There are no excuses. Whatever happens this season is all on you. It's always been on you, by the way, but you lot can't use that excuse. I'm happy. I'm happy Liverpool lost, and I'm happy Arsenal are getting 50-50.
I think what's even more interesting is that, like, with these decisions that you're talking about, Neeks, and I know you're saying a little bit in jest, but a little bit of fact, or no, a lot of facts actually as well. But it's almost much of a coincidence that when you're actually playing well, decisions start to go your way, to be honest. So
no more excuses.
How convenient. All it is that in the end, the decisions of a referee are never why you end up where you end up. You end up where you end up, whether you're good enough or you're not, because referees get bad decisions against every team in the league.
Apart from Anthony Taylor.
We've been trying to tell you that for how long?
Yeah, but Anthony Taylor's had some bad refereeing games against Chelsea, but he isn't the reason.
Not some. Not some.
Okay. Let me finish my point. Sorry. What I mean is a lot then, but my point remains that he wouldn't be the reason you didn't make top 4 or didn't win a league title. That's what I mean. The next talking point is up for voting, people. So get your vote in now for the next talking point. You might need to refresh the stream to see it. Some of you say you don't always see the new updates. I'm going to do some of these super chats before we move on. This one here says, not going to lie, Gabriel Jesus being a female dog and overreacting diver against United. He got touched and acted like he got a sniper shot from the VIP box. The female dogs roll around more than male dogs. I don't know. I don't know, but thank you. Egal, stop biting. He has nothing to say about the play, hence bringing up the penalties. It's a pen. In fairness, I brought up the penalties and the decisions because all day today, that's what I've seen people deferring to. We already spoke about. We can speak about more of the game in a moment. Jesus has every right to go down once he felt the contact from Thiago, the same way Hazard did against us in 2018. But it being a pen is very subjective. Arsenal, I think that's 3 GA versus 0.87 for Liverpool. Liverpool got smoked. These salty fans making excuses for their failing club. Penalty was soft, but the third goal was coming. I also agree with that. I think that's very, very true indeed. If that's a red, the elbow on Jesus' face is a red. I don't even remember that personally.
The arm when
yeah.
he knocked him out when he pretended to. You know
that one.
That one. Then they got up and that one.
Yeah, that one. We were talking about that in the studio, and I was like, literally in the studio, Colleen and Jess were like, "Oh my god, is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay?" I'm like, I've seen him tense his fist 3 times. You don't do that when you're unconscious. Like there was little like conscious movements from him, and you're like, he's fine because you don't do. I've been knocked out unconscious, and I've seen people knocked out. They're like dead weight essentially, but yeah, he was all right, weren't he? He did that against United as well. When he fell down when he lost the ball and he fell onto the grass, and to stop the play, he held his head like he was in trouble. 2 minutes later, he's out running around.
Him and Martinelli need to stop doing that. They scare me all the time.
No, they're going to do it because there's an advantage to doing it, mate. Like I'm not annoyed with them, but there we go. We did have GR earlier on say, how come you are reporting on Hendo with no evidence but refuse to comment on Partey with clear evidence? Well, I've commented on Partey before, GR, my friend. I've very much said that it should be investigated. I've said that in the same way with Jordan Henderson, that I would not call Thomas Partey any names or suggest that he was guilty. Equally at the same time, I will not sort of victim shame and say, I think the person is lying. You report on what's been said, what the news has said, and you leave it at that until you get more information. Exactly the same energy that I showed Jordan Henderson, exactly the same energy that I showed Callum Hudson-Odoi about 2 years ago, and will continue to do because there is zero bias in me, especially when it comes to these type of matters. GR, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Relax. If decisions went our way, as you claim, Martinelli would have had a goal against United. Do you know what's funny about that? The foul on the challenge on Casemiro yesterday was almost identical, and it wasn't given. So yeah, that goal shouldn't have stood yesterday either. But there we go. That's me keeping it consistent. David Luiz was adjudged to have fouled Jose at Wolves and given a red card.
I'm going that far back.
When Jose's touch against a penalty. Yeah, listen, I mean, they remember. Arsenal fans, they're like elephants, bruv. They never forget a decision that went against them. They never, ever, ever forget. We ain't pundit, lads. Aren't we as fans supposed to have energy and chest when our teams are doing well? Egal, carry on, man. All these man are salty. I will say this to you, Egal. Stop being a politician and say what you think. It's my feedback to you. As a fan, as a friend, just say what you think. Stop beating around the bush. Do you know what I'm saying? Just get straight in there, my son. That's what you need to do. There's a pun in there, but there we go. Next talking point, people. We're kind of on this subject, and the question is Jurgen Klopp's era now over at Liverpool? Has he lost his powers? You know, is he Samuel who has cut off his hair? What's going? I want to go to. You've recently lost a German in your life, Daniel. Do you feel like the?
That was a low blow. That was low.
do you feel like Jurgen Klopp? I mean, they're not playing. I mean, I want to talk really how they're playing. Really, they're not performing. They're conceding goals. They're not scoring enough. They're mid-table as it stands right now. Do you feel like this is the beginning of the end, or is it just a bad start to the season and people need to calm down with challenging Klopp so much?
Yeah, no. I mean, firstly, I think I might get a hair transplant too, so I can come up with new jokes. There's that. Second of all, though, no. Personally, look, I think it's way too early to say, innit? I did say, obviously, everyone's doing that 7-year thing, 7 year at Mainz, 7 year at Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, he's in the 7th year at Liverpool, and yeah, it's the end of the cycle and all of that kind of stuff. But really and truly, I don't blame Klopp, because I do believe that, especially with the things that he has mentioned, and obviously he's tried to be political about it, and these are the same owners who have backed him and who have helped him to compete with Man City, probably one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. They've not helped him to replenish the squad, in my opinion, enough. I get that obviously there have been some signings that have been made and stuff like that, but things like having to make the decision between paying Salah or Mane, I think as a club of that size, in terms of the fact that they've been able to build themselves to that competing phase where they're able to be the second best team in England, if not the world, you should never be in a situation where you have to choose between which player you have to play. Like, out of a front three that have been so successful for literally the time that they've been together at Liverpool. So I just think it's been a bit weird that Klopp's been made to, or Liverpool have been made to make decisions and Klopp's obviously had to front them and been the face man and the guy to come out and that. But nah, man, I think it's way too early to say that Klopp's time at Liverpool's done. Obviously, it does largely depend on what happens this season, in terms of like where Liverpool finish and whatnot. Because again, if Liverpool finish in some they won't finish in this position. But if Liverpool finish 10th, it would be interesting to see what the management would do, because I don't really know what they would do in terms of that, because there's no sacking culture really. You don't really know what it would take for them to sack Klopp. But because I always thought it would be Klopp to leave rather than Liverpool sacking Klopp. But yeah, man, just as a final point, I just think it's way too early to say just because they've lost to Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal, again, one thing I do agree is that they lost to a team in the ascendancy. They lost to one of the most, if not the form team, the best team in the league. And I don't think there's any shame necessarily in that. So it's just about how they regroup, and how they get back to it. Because one thing that Liverpool have shown us above any team, obviously bar Man City, is that they're able to put together a string of wins. And yeah, maybe they've not been playing that well, but they definitely can still put up. Like, let's not act like we would be surprised if Liverpool went on a 15-game winning run, whether or not they're convincing wins or not. Let's not be surprised if they went ahead and did that.
If we done it this season, I'd be very surprised.
Fair enough. But some people were surprised last season, JJ. Like when you started.
Yeah, and because last season what you were seeing, it was that every other season before that, our performances matched the result. Even if we didn't win, our performances were that good. After January, our performances were terrible, but we were able to get over the line, and we were those mentality monsters that we like to talk about. I think this is Klopp's biggest job, because and I've said it before, and when I said it, people call me reactionary and stuff. Klopp's never proved that he can go and rebuild a team ever. So at Mainz he didn't, at Dortmund he didn't. It's never been done. If anything, what it suggests is that he can't do it and that he needs something.
But have your ownership given him the platform to rebuild, though? Have they given him that platform to rebuild your ownership?
Yeah, no. They have given him that platform to rebuild. But there's this narrative talking about that, FSG haven't invested, they haven't done this, they haven't done that. Klopp signed an extension understanding what the terms and conditions were of that contract. So regardless whether I'd love an owner like Newcastle's owner or City's owners, where we can go and splash and do whatever, right? But ultimately, we haven't got those owners. So he has to work with the parameters he's got. And yes, do you know what I mean? Like you said, he's in a position now where, because he's got credit in the bank, of course he's going to go and get the rest of the season to go and play. We could finish, do you know what I mean, 11th, 12th. He's going to get the end of the season, 100%. But we have to start to look at and say, what key decisions has Klopp made that have caused things to change over, right? So we go and speak about Mane. The choice wasn't between should we pay Mane or Salah. Mane wanted to leave the season before. Michael Edwards came out, and there's actually reports coming out and saying that Michael Edwards, which is obviously our technical director, had actually qualms with Klopp in regards to the strategy, saying, you know what, we need to offload some of these players and start refreshing the squad. And Klopp,
isn't that why you brought in like Luis Diaz early? We got Luis Diaz early, but Mane wanted to leave that summer. He's actually come out in BBC Africa saying that move to Bayern Munich was the best thing for his career as well. He's actually openly said that. But he wanted to leave earlier. Klopp's convinced him now to go and stay. Michael Edwards, apparently, it's reported that he didn't want Mane to go. And there's a couple of, Henderson's contract renewal, Milner's contract renewal that we have gone and done, where we could have gone and invested and gone and got a player and not been in a situation where we're talking about the midfield and stuff. Klopp's openly come out and spoken about, our midfield, we're never going to force a player at the club. We're never going to go and tell a player to leave. There's this sentimentality and this kind of undivided loyalty he's got to players, and it's starting to hamper Liverpool, and it has. And I don't know whether it's because at Dortmund and at Mainz, obviously, his players were getting picked apart. So at Dortmund, every player was going to Borussia Dortmund and the next best team. At Liverpool, he's at a club now where for the first time we're able to keep that core of players, and he's unable to actually go and give players a chance. AJ, can I ask a question just so that we can clarify something?
Yeah.
So does Klopp have the final say over like a lot of the ins and outs, those decisions?
He has, and he's openly spoken about, I have the final say in regards to what players stay, what players go. Henderson's contract, he pushed for that. He's the one that pushed for it. The club and the backroom staff didn't want to go and give Henderson an extension. Klopp's the one that advocated for that. Now we're relying on Henderson, whose legs are going. Look, that's the backroom stuff. Focusing on stuff on the pitch, right? We're a team that seem to be able to only play one way, and this is this high intensity type of high octane football. There's two ways you go about it. You either get players that can go and fulfill the role that you want them to do, which is what we had before. We had a high level kind of midfield and high intensity team. What we've seen now is that that's been combated by teams understanding what we do, but also the legs in the team. We're unable to go and get around the park and do the same thing that we're able to do. So we've had to slightly change the way we do stuff. Ultimately, we're not as good as doing that because tactically, Klopp's proving to be inept. He's not able to go and tinker with the team and change the way we play in order to make us more successful with the players we've got. So then there's a necessity for there to be an investment in players that can do that role. So you've got to go and get a player that can run about. Now, people speak about, obviously, Liverpool went out to go and get Tchouaméni, right? And there's all these rumours like Barella and all these Jude Bellingham's in talks apparently. We were talking about needing a midfielder. Klopp's openly said we went in for a midfielder but didn't get him, and we ended up going and getting Núñez. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think it does to me, though, in terms of what Liverpool fans have said before. We go for number one targets, and if our number one midfielder is not available now, we'll move on to maybe our number one striking target and wait for that midfielder. The problem is, and I think something you said around the backroom and on-field things maybe being different. I don't. I think what happens behind the scenes manifests itself on the football pitch, and players will know when they're going stale. Players will sometimes look at it and go, I like Henderson, but man can't run anymore. I like Milner, but we should have moved on from him. There's a reason why when you guys bought Luis Diaz in January, he gave everybody a boost because it excited everybody, because he elevates everybody to that next level. It helps elevate the team and the squad. Gabriel Jesus has done that going into Arsenal as a case in point. And all of our clubs have got examples of when players are coming. Kulusevski at Tottenham is another one. And I think that the lack of buying and maybe not adapting, and this is where Klopp's going wrong maybe. It's 7 years. What he started off doing worked really well, but football evolves and moves on. Systems and styles have to be adapted. No one talks about Pep Guardiola's style now. No one calls it tiki-taka because it isn't tiki-taka, because tiki-taka got found out, not because it was a bad system and style, but suddenly teams, a bit more power, a bit more strength and technical ability together started to overpower it. And he had to adapt the way he played and the type of players that he used. Everyone a little while ago said, he would never use a number 9. It didn't work with Etu, didn't work with Zlatan. What's he gone out and bought? A number 9 and just made an adjustment. Etu's thing was a different scenario maybe, but end of the day, he's made an adjustment. And I think with Jurgen Klopp, his inability to change, the over loyal approach he has to players is a hindrance, and it's costing you now. I remember saying this 2 years ago, and Liverpool fans laughing at me. Again, everybody always thinks you're being salty, but they don't want to listen. Klopp and Robertson and Trent, top class, but football will evolve where using your fullbacks in a back four as your main source of creativity was going to end up costing you. You guys are still trying to do it. Teams are nullifying it more and more. And then you've lost your workhorses in midfield that covered their defensive positions, and you're being caught out. It's so obvious what's going on. The fact that Jurgen Klopp is ignoring these things, the fact that he's still picking Trent to play when he's in the worst form of his life, it's gross negligence. It is gross negligence. And if you were doing that, any of you were doing that in your day job, you would be getting reprimanded. And I get he's got credit in the bank and he deserves time to turn it around. Of course he does. But I look at the way Liverpool are playing right now, and for me, 90% of it is on Jurgen Klopp, because he can demand things from FSG. If he came out and said, I need more for this squad, the fans would force SFG into spending, but he doesn't, because he is too arrogant. And he can't. I've heard at times people can say he's been better than Pep in terms of current form and what he's been doing, but he ain't on Pep's level, right? He ain't on Pep's level. He ain't nowhere near a Fergie. These guys, Pep's doing it now. He's rebuilding a team. Everyone said Pep couldn't do it, and he is. Rebuilding teams is one of the hardest things to do in football. And it's why every other manager, and I'm sorry to take it here, but I've got to, that you ask who is the greatest manager of all time, says Fergie. And the one consistent they all say is that guy kept on rebuilding teams. Managers know rebuilding in the same place is almost an impossible task. And to do it 4 times in nearly 3 decades is ridiculous, and Klopp's struggling with that. And what he typically does is he loses his dressing room a little bit, loses the grip on the team, and leaves, still with his head held high, still as a legend at those particular football clubs. But I think we could be seeing the beginning of the end for Jurgen Klopp unless he changes his ways, because I don't see him getting this group of players back on side physically and mentally to be able to compete anymore, because they're too old. Above everything else, they're too old now. They're too old.
What I don't understand is there's little things that we've done over the years that have just not made sense. So going back to Gini Wijnaldum, we had a player there, regardless what people think of him. I loved him as a player, but regardless what other players think of him, he played 38 games a season, like 36, 37.5 games a season on average. He was injured like 5 times. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a joke. He was so consistent. What we did, we got rid of him and brought in Thiago. That, yes, in terms of ability, it's clear to see, do you know what I mean? He's on another level. But he's only available for 26 games. He's only available, and he's now become so important and so important to us. He's now becoming a detriment, because when he's not on the pitch, who else have we got to go and play?
What is it? What is it that Harvey Dent said?
What, in the Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Hero live long enough
to become a villain. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Maybe.
And what I'm saying is that, like, Terry, you're 100% right. You look on the pitch, and I don't know about other fans. I know some fans wanted to, do you know what I mean, be loyal beyond regard. It doesn't matter what Klopp does, because we've won the Premier League in 30 years. Klopp can do no wrong. Like,
keep him.
He can't be critiqued.
Keep him.
He can't do anything. He's just. I mean, he's God. He's God at the moment. So what he's done for the city, what he's done for us, is just like, forget it. No, it's like I've been speaking about, and loads of other fans on this platform have been speaking about needing to change tactics. The fact that, do you know what I mean? This Gengen press isn't working. Our possession-based game isn't as good. We're spamming crosses in. Like, what the hell are we doing? It doesn't make any sense. We've got Jota in the box, and yeah, he's a good header, but do you know what I mean? Sometimes we're going up against centre-backs that are 6'4" and winning everything in the air, and there's no other outlet. There's no creativity. We saw it in the Champions League final. We saw it on the back end of last season.
Yeah.
And now it's taken till now for Klopp to decide, oh, you know what? Yeah, we need to change system. And he's just gone to a 4-4-2. And then you look at the in-game management, we end up playing a Brendan Rodgers-esque kind of system back when he was at Liverpool, with Henderson at right mid, Elliott at left mid, replicating what Downing did for us, with Jota and Bobby up front. Like, what is going on? Like, what's going on?
I think, though, like, what I'll say is, though, before I have to shoot off, is the 2 things. The first thing is, and like, Terry can be the witness to that, because I think there was a big show that we done on this. I think I can proudly say, and if I wish Terry actually made my tagline for this, because I always said, make me a tagline, a little bit like Stephen A, where I said that everyone thought I had a Trent agenda. This is obviously separate to the Klopp debate, but everyone thought I had a Trent agenda. I literally would start every conversation by saying, I know he's a great boyfriend. I know he's a great attacker. I know he's a great family man. I actually know that he's good with his nieces. He's a great brother as well. He's a great philosopher. I'm sure that he reads books, and he probably even got a couple A-levels and whatnot. So he's great in that regard. I even heard he's a good kid. Like, I've heard that he was a very good kid growing up in the academy. Like, no problems whatsoever. But that boy is not a defender. He is simply not a defender. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It's just that it took so long for people to see and admit it. Like, we've gone so far from what we used to know. Look, let me tell you now.
It's like Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale was a left back once.
And he got
moved.
He was
no longer left back.
And the thing is, let me just say this, just in case it wasn't clear, just before I say my last point, because I just really had to squeeze this in. The point is that Trent's all-world generational ability to control games from a position that we'd never seen before was always supposed to be supplementary to his basic job description, which was to defend. We saw a video, we saw a press conference where Klopp actually came out and explained Trent's role in the team. And I was getting so mad that people were getting so blinded by that press conference, because at the root of everything, he refused to say that Trent is still a defender, and I expect him to be able to handle his defensive responsibilities. Everything was about where he was supposed to press and the 3-2, and people were getting wild by managerial words and football jargon, as I like to call it, where you get confused and whatnot. Like, he has never been a good defender, and what he did, where he ran over to Martinelli, was literally like that was the summary.
I mean,
that was the you know, when you say the full stop, the final nail, where even the staunchest of Trent fans, Callum, the staunchest of Trent fans could not deny that in 6 years, he's what is it 6 or 5 years that he's been in the first team now?
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that is something that has been coached.
I mean,
That
this is like that. Look, Trent defensively, and I've always said it, right? And look, people go check the tapes. People can go and just criticize me, whatever. People speak about Trent. His generational talent is his ability to pass the ball and at distance and the accuracy, right? But people, I mean, they've seen in the comments saying Trent's a midfielder. If he hasn't got the awareness at right back, you think in midfield he's going to have the awareness on the defensive transition? Like this idea that because you can spam or not even spam, because you can play a ridiculous pass, yeah, means that you're a midfielder. There's so many other parts to a midfielder.
I agree. I agree. Sorry to interject, JJ. For me, the issue is, and hear me out on this. The issue is Mo Salah. Mo Salah is better than him on that right hand side. Trent Alexander-Arnold should have been born in David Beckham's era, because he would have been the perfect right-sided midfielder. He would have helped out defensively, like covered positions. He wouldn't have to been the greatest defender, and his job would have been to get the ball out wide and cross the ball into the box. That is what he's really good. He's also a very good passer, but you are right. The awareness isn't there as in a defensive role. He's a creator. He's a playmaker. I think the mistake Klopp has made, and 3 or 4 years ago, even Liverpool fans were saying, I think we'll develop him into an attacking player, more of a midfielder. I remember hearing it being said, and it hasn't happened. Maybe now we're just seeing as the system changes and the midfield's letting him down. But equally, you could have covered this problem up by investing more in the midfield, covering the position as you used to do, and then letting him go forward and stay forward and everything else. I've got some super chats here. Yeah, go on, Miguel. Go on, mate. Go on.
I just had some points. So first, refreshing the squad. You guys already spoke about that, so I don't need to get into it too much. And I said that earlier. You guys had the opportunity to do that. We spoke about Trent, and also let's not take away Martinelli had one of the games of his life. So obviously, and he's been on great form. So you always knew there was going to be a mismatch there, and he hasn't been so good all season. Salah, you guys gave him a contract, and we've seen this with Ozil, we've seen this with Aubameyang, we've seen this with other players before. When they get big contracts, they dip in their performances. And maybe we're seeing that from Mo Salah. The only players we haven't really seen that from is some of the City players in Kevin De Bruyne, who negotiated his own contract, Raheem Sterling, who I think negotiated his own contract. So these players might know their self-worth. Now, another thing I want to speak about that you guys don't really speak about is expectations from your own fans. Your own fans covered this up. Your own fans covered up these problems. Your own fans weren't pushing for more. You guys were accepting that your squad was good enough to compete, and you thought your squad was going to continuously be good enough to compete without refreshing. And one thing that I've learned from Terry and a lot of people over watching this for a long time, you need to constantly regroup and refresh your squad and just add in a different challenge. Having Luis Diaz last year re-jolted and gave your team a different element that kicked the monkey in their back and made everyone go crazy, right? But right now, what you're finding is the team has gone stale. A lot of these players are looking around, and there's the same problems. And finally, where is Fabinho? Fabinho was a crucial part to your team. Fabinho was one of the best DMs in this league. Fabinho is the guy who's one of the catalysts to help you guys become the team that you are. And he is a shell of himself. He's been dropped for the last 2 games, and you expected to win without him in these 2 games, where a couple years ago, if Fabinho was out, you'd be crying, where is Fabinho? So now
when Casemiro's in the league, when Casemiro's about, Fabinho disappears. That's why one gets picked for Brazil and the other one's on the bench.
Listen, just to go and talk about what you're saying, I think what you're saying is mad, because I agree with everything, but I'm not mad because I'm not fuming, because I've been saying this. Fabinho now is playing like an Uber driver, yeah, like on goals in a power league with the shin pads as well and the socks. Do you know what I mean? Like he's been terrible. We rely so much on athleticism and fitness and intensity, quoting Pep Linders' book, yeah, that Now, as soon as it drops off a couple of percent, you're missing a lot because that 2% accumulates over seasons and seasons and seasons.
Yeah.
It's like what you're saying is 100% factual. The problem is, how do you go and solve it? Because when you could have went and refreshed, and when we were speaking in the summer about talking about it, Klopp for the whole of the summer transfer window was telling us we've got midfielders, we've got Morton who ended up going to Blackburn and playing as a centre back, we've got Keita, we've got Oxlade-Chamberlain. What happened? An injury to Henderson, and we bring in Arthur, who's now injured as well, by the way. Lucky go lucky. But he's had to come out and say, I was wrong. We needed a midfielder.
Bro.
That is ludicrous. That's ludicrous. That's
is,
something from Ryan Mason when he was, do you know what I mean, the caretaker manager at Spurs.
Right, and I called this, I saw this coming ages ago. It's why I started calling it all communist Merseyside in terms of whenever a Liverpool fan sort of just tried to have a conversation about this, the way they were shut down, abused, and attacked, and silence was crazy. And I used to look at it and think, it's only football, bruv. Like, I understand there are very emotive subjects in the world that people fight over. I'm like, why are you getting so nasty about someone saying, I think we need 2 more midfielders? It didn't make sense when you say it out loud. And then you've got this super chat here that's confirmed news by Paul Joyce. Diaz will miss, it's reported, the next 10 games, and it will be after the World Cup that he returns. I mean, without Luis Diaz, if that this isn't hyperbolic from me, if Luis Diaz is genuinely missing until Christmas, he's going to miss the next 10 league games for Liverpool. I cannot see in a month of Sundays how you make the top 4 with how good Tottenham, how good Arsenal, how good City have been, with Chelsea starting to cook again. Man United are better than Liverpool in this moment.
You guys are.
Newcastle are better than you. I just don't see. If Diaz is out, there is no creativity in your team. There's barely, when you took him and Salah were off the pitch yesterday, there was zero speed, zero penetration. Yeah, two for you.
Sorry, Jose, can I say something on the Salah thing? Because I think
I was going to talk about it, but go on. Yeah,
I think it's a bit harsh to compare Salah to Aubameyang and Ozil. Obviously, there's a common thread about them getting big contracts and the form dropping, but the difference, and I see it on the pitch between Salah, Ozil, and Aubameyang, is Salah doesn't stop trying. What Salah's trying ain't working, but tools. Aubameyang down tools. Now, of course, we ain't got a Liverpool all or nothing, so we don't know what's happening in the dressing, behind the scenes. But from what I can see on the pitch, Salah is still trying and has been trying. Since he ever been at Liverpool, he's never dropped down on effort. Even Liverpool had that terrible season when everyone's injured, he kept his standards right to the top. So I think he's going for a very bad patch, and you might say he's declining, blah blah blah. But I don't think it's directly linked to the fact that he's got a new contract, but rather it's coincidental in the timing. However, what I do think is one of the issues with Salah's form and his performances is Jurgen Klopp. You bought Darwin Núñez to play as a striker, and now Salah's being forced to play as a winger. But Salah's best performances for Liverpool were as him as the main goal scorer. This season, he hasn't been played in a tactic that has him as the main goal scorer. Therefore, you're not going to get the Salah that we've seen over the last 4 years. So a lot of Liverpool's issues, other than FSG and the recruitment, is the tactics and not adapting the tactics to the players that you currently have in the current state that they are. He's playing them like either their head when he first joined in 2016, or bought them in 2018, or he's playing them in positions and in roles that were never their strength for what they gave to Liverpool. I think that's the biggest issue.
Problem was, you go and look at Salah after AFCON, he's been poor. He's been poor. And what we did is that we went and gave him a bumper contract. Yeah, like, to be fair, what we did is we got rid of our player that his all-round game was actually better. Let's be honest, Mane's all-round game is better than Salah's game. As in, Mane can play across the front three, could even play in the 10, and he'll do a decent job. Salah could not go and do that. Like, all-round game, he hasn't got it. But what he was effective in terms of getting goals. When he's not getting you goals, though, what we're seeing now, when he's outside now, you can't be affected. And you go and speak about the bumper contract he got, and you're saying that, you can't link it because he hasn't down tools. That's fact, he hasn't down tools. But guess what? You're our main guy now. There's no qualms about it right now. You're the Don Dada. You're the main guy to go and get us out of the mud.
I think
you've got to go and take the
but Klopp's not playing him like the main guy. He's playing him like a winger. He's playing him on the wing.
But Neeks, I've
No,
seen Diaz.
make
No, but
him the
I've seen
focal point of
Diaz.
the team.
I've
He's not
seen
the focal
Diaz.
point.
No, but Neeks, but I've seen Diaz go and get the ball, even when we're losing 2-0, 3-0, whatever. Get the ball, cut inside and score and score a goal to kind of get our hopes up. Salah has not done that. And
I feel
you're the main guy.
I feel like sorry. No, listen. I kind of agree with that to a large extent. What Salah's going through is bad form, and there are two players that have, and there's a few more coming through that broke the barometer. We saw like Messi and Ronaldo maintain the greatest form of any attackers in the history of football for over a decade each. And people almost see that as the norm. What I'm seeing Mo Salah go through, I saw Andy Coles go through it. I only really remember Man United. As a younger man, I didn't watch as much as the other teams, but I remember Andy Cole going through these periods. I remember Ryan Giggs going through this. I remember Paul Scholes having a period in the Man United team like this where just fell off a little bit. And I'm sure if you've got fans of all clubs, to be honest, they've seen their stars. Harry Kane, like a lot of last season, didn't look like Harry Kane anymore. People were saying, oh, have the injuries caught up with him? Salah's just going through it. He will come back to being the Mo Salah that was scoring at the same rate as Thierry Henry. And I'm pretty sure if you actually went back and looked at Henry, he may have had times where he had quiet periods as the GOAT. And it's that level of consistency. I hear your point. It's not an excuse. It's just what happens. The problem you now got at Liverpool is that what you had with Mane and Salah is whenever one of them was having a quiet patch, the other one was stepping up and scoring. And every now and then you'd have both of them on fire at the same time. And you guys obviously won major trophies. And that's what I see happening right now. But viewers, I want your thoughts and feelings on that. Hit the like and share, but I don't want to miss some of these super chats. It says here that all he has to do is change his coaches like Fergie used to. The man's arrogant and complacent beyond belief. Klopp and FSG are made for each other. Hi guys, Liverpool are a good team, but these players have fatigued. The intensity over this year was extreme. They need fresh legs. It's not coaching problems. Do you know what's interesting about that take? I remember like saying to everyone, they did the quad, they become the greatest ever team because winning multiple trophies in a season is the hardest achievement. And that's not a dig at Invincibles or anything. That's why that 99 team winning a damn treble, and by the way, retaining its league title for 2 years after that, it's just not discussed enough. One team in the Prem tries to do a quad and they're dead the next season. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a bit of both though, Terry. You know, like you said, it's not our bad coaching, it's fatigue. It's a bit of both. Like for me, yesterday, Klopp's tactics were really inept in that game. Like you took off your two main goal threats, and the game was still, I wouldn't say in a balance, but they were still in that game. They were only one goal down. And I've seen Klopp make really weird decisions throughout the season. So that's it's catching up with him. He's not invincible.
Resting for the Champions League, just like you guys.
Yeah, but you got to go like you're away to Arsenal, who are obviously probably the most informed team, and you need to lay a marker down and try and get back in it. They're 10th at the moment. He needed to get something out of that game, and he essentially basically gave it up.
The worst thing is about them being 10th, they beat Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are now ahead of them in the league table.
I know, that just shows how bad their form has been recently.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Kristen here says Liverpool.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what a decision that is. And Gary O'Neill as well doing a great job. Liverpool fans crying over refs never admit Salah has been diving for penalties for the last 3 seasons. That's the irony in it. He's had loads of penalties where he's barely been touched. He arched his back.
Every team does it. Every top team does it. Every top player does it. Kane does it. Son does it. Salah's done it. Martinelli's done it. Jesus has done it. Salah, Mane when he was there. Everyone does it. It's just who can get away with it. At the moment, it's going on.
Harvey Elliott dived in the same game. I don't see no one crying about that.
You what? Sorry.
Harvey Elliott dived in the same
game.
Yeah,
that was a dive. And
but
these guys need to get carded for it.
People only moan when it goes against their team. To be fair, hi Terry. Off topic. How is Nkunku signing going to fit into Chelsea when we don't have a director of football yet? Who we recommend? Well, because the club is going to set the standard of the type of player and the type of football they want. The director of football that comes in will not be telling Chelsea how they have to play. He'll be told by Chelsea, this is what we want from you. This is the style, the philosophy, the play, the type of individual. You construct a team to go and find that. That's how businesses work. If KJ works for me, he didn't tell me what the terrace is going to do. I tell him what I want to achieve, and then he uses his skills to try and achieve it. So yeah, that's the way every business on planet Earth operates, my friend. So that's how it'll work. Panel top 4 predictions. Liverpool ain't making it. Milan will smash Milan will smash Chelsea at the San Siro. City will be inevitable. I don't know about that after they played the other day.
I think Chelsea's getting under. People are sleeping on Chelsea now. I think Chelsea could turn this around. I actually think Chelsea are looking better than I expected them to look, and it's not because they're performing ridiculously well or anything. They're scoring goals. They're even rotating their squad. They're still seeing churning out good performances versus Wolves. And you know what? I throw a lot of salt their way. Maybe give them a little credit today.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Egal. Did you just praise another football club?
Yeah, I don't do that often.
I was going to ask you, but again, I enjoy these shows more now because we put the topics out and the viewers get to pick what we speak about. So if we don't get to your favorite topic, bring more of your fans along to vote for it, and that's what we'll talk about. It's up to yourselves. But I did want to ask you about Tottenham because, like, again, not a scintillating performance against Brighton at the weekend, but you know they were a team that ripped Liverpool apart, and you didn't really give them very many opportunities. You got the job done, 3rd in the league. Are you feeling more and more confident every week that you're definitely making the top 4 again and progressing with him? Or, you know, are you feeling nervous? Some Liverpool, I mean, again, I was listening to Talk Sport over the weekend, 4 or 5 Spurs fans phoning up, still angry at how you're playing. Like, what's your take on things, mate?
I'm fine, man. I knew before the season that we make top 4, and I still feel exactly the same way. There's different ways to skin a cat, and yes,
you got a nervous smile, man. You got a nervous
man,
smile.
I'm good. Look, I'm good. Look. See that?
You're forcing it.
Honestly, I'm perfect. We scored the 3rd most amount of goals in the league, 3rd most wins in the league. Yes, the football isn't scintillating, and it can get better, but the fact is we're still winning games. We're hard to beat. We're hard to break down. It was a tough week for us as well, by the way. Obviously, our coach dying, rest in peace. That was a tough. Even saw Harry Kane come out afterwards. He was literally moved to tears when they asked him about it. So it's been a really tough week. But to beat Brighton away, Brighton, when we played them, were 4th in the league. They beat Man United this year. They got a really good result. Beat West Ham and obviously scored 3 at Anfield and gave Liverpool a good game. So they're a good team, and we went there. Pretty much shot a shop. Should have beaten them by more than one. Harry Kane was one-on-one with the keeper. You'd expect him to score that, and he dragged it wide. So yeah, of course, the football. Kane. You know what's crazy? Kane's got 8 and 9, but obviously no one's going to talk about it because Haaland's just gone mental. But Kane's in good form.
He is. I was praising him after the game. Spurs fans watching were like confused on the match reaction. They go, "You're praising us." I'm like, "I've praised Spurs loads this year. I've just not praised you."
Terry, to be fair, Terry, you are. Even though I don't like your Arsenal, you're going mad with Arsenal, but you do give us credit. So
I know everyone apart from Man United.
but it's out. Well, I think what Spurs fans have got the issue with is like I'm scared of Chelsea and Arsenal, what they're doing, and I'm not scared of them, and that's just because I'm not scared of Tottenham. That's the wrong way of putting it. You with Antonio Conte worry me in the sense of you're going to be a very good team while he's there. Just because of Conte's history, I'm not convinced he's going to be there long term, and that's not a dig. That's just I need to see him.
There's positive signs that he will sign an extension,
and he might. But even with a 5-year deal with Antonio Conte, it takes one argument with Levy, and I respect him for this. He's one of those managers that won't put up with crap for 2 or 3 years, like Poch, not as long as that, but Poch seems like he was having arguments for a long time before the straw that broke the camel's back.
Poch was laying down loads of subliminals, but not really like, you know what I mean? Like all the stuff about the furniture and this and that.
Conte would just say I'm off, but look, you're a very good team. And I to that super chat earlier, I think you're going to make the top 4. Again, I had you 5th and Chelsea 4th originally. I've now gone for Chelsea 5th and you 4th. Liverpool, I thought were going to come 1st. Actually, I actually thought Liverpool were going to be so strong this year because they were going to bounce back the disappointment. And it hasn't worked. And maybe I listened to their PR a little bit too much, I think, and I was like, oh Jesus. But there we go. I think Spurs will be fine in terms of that top 4 race. Chelsea is still the interesting ones for me because I know. I put out a tweet and I said I think it's 8 goals in 3 games. Everyone's like, well, it's 9 in 4. I didn't really count the first game because that first game for him was in the midst of everything going on with, I don't know, the Queen. I keep mentioning the Queen dying. It was a weird time. You just come in, certain games being postponed, not training, having to play a tough, a European night. Your first game managing your club, first time in the Champions League. It was a little bit difficult, but since he kind of settled and had a little bit of time with his squad, 2 games running, clean sheets, 3 goals. Chelsea are just starting to just purr nicely. And I agree with you, Egal. I think a lot of people have written Chelsea off this year as, and I think it stems back to Roman being sanctioned. It's once Roman, because the narrative for 20 years has been once Roman leaves, Chelsea go back to being a mid team. And I think Todd Bowley's doing bits. Like the technical director's good. We all know they've got a good manager. And look at the players are trying to buy still. Like they want to go out in the summer and they are going to try and get both Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice for that midfield.
No,
Have Chelsea got the worst manager in the top 6?
One second.
Chelsea.
Have Chelsea got the worst manager in the top 6?
Based on
on paper, yeah, yes, but he's not a bad manager, if that makes sense. He's unproven. He's unproven at this level, like, but he's still a good manager, still a very good manager.
I was just going to say this: without Kulusevski, you're not going to be playing a system with 3 DMs or either Richarlison coming in and taking out one of those DMs. Don't you think that's kind of defensive, or at least like the way it's set up, it's very defensive, and it's like against the bigger teams, it might work. But consistently against smaller teams where you're going to have to break low blocks, having 3 DMs and playing that 3-5-2, I don't think it's going to work in the long run. And going into my second thing, you guys have been clinical to a level where Harry Kane and Son have been so clinical that they're up there with some of the best numbers statistically throughout the last 5 years. They're not doing that this year, and I don't think. Does that mean it wasn't sustainable what they're doing, or do you think you're starting to get worried that they might not be able to bail you out as much as they have been over the last couple of years?
The thing is, we don't. First of all, the first point, we don't really play with 3 DMs. We've played with 3 midfielders. Last game, I mean, we did it in the Champions League to a degree, but last game was the first time we deployed 3 in midfield.
All your fans have been calling for it.
Yeah, exactly. They've been calling for it. So, but that's the first time we've done it. So that negates that because we haven't really done it. We did it against Brighton because we knew we'd get overpowered in midfield. It worked, as in we stopped them scoring. Yeah, we haven't been that clinical, but we're still creating chances. I don't think players as good as... Because even though Kane is in good form, he's missed a lot of chances this year as well. He's taken a lot of shots. He's missed some that you would expect him to score in previous seasons. Son, for me, is nowhere near his level. He will get better. Kulu will come back. So Richarlison still finding his feet in the Spurs jersey. He's looked good in certain games. He hasn't looked good in other games. So there's still a lot more to come. I'm not really that worried, if I'm being honest, because we're still creating chances. We're still keeping more often than not clean sheets, and we're winning games. So, like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. When Conte comes in, sometimes I think fans are a little bit naive and be ungrateful. You know what kind of system Conte plays and what kind of ball he plays. He's not going to come in and try and play like Arteta or try and play like Jurgen Klopp.
Arteta will be more successful than Conte. Stop it, bro.
Huh?
Arteta will be more successful.
You lot need to do something first. It's all well and
already
good.
done something.
What have you done? You ain't qualified in qualified in the top 4. You ain't really done anything yet. I know it's all tongue in cheek, but the thing is, you actually believe it, isn't it? And it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad for you to say that. Conte has won at every league he's been in. He's won major honors. Like, you need to chill. You ain't even qualified for Champions League yet.
Energy until I will keep this energy. You
need to do something first before you start talking. You're not even. This is the first time you played European football in how long? You didn't even qualify for European football 2 years ago. So please just relax a bit, innit? Like, relax. There's levels, and you're not there yet. You're not there yet.
Conte hasn't done anything with Tottenham, as in lifting a trophy or seeing armpits.
Lifted a trophy. He's only been there since November. He's only been. Let's relax. He's only been there since November, and since he's been there, he outperformed you lot. And we got in the Champions League above you lot. So again, yes, you're having a good run, but please just relax a bit.
I think you're mistaken, my guy. I think you're mistaken.
I'm not mistaken at all. What I'm saying is facts, isn't it? What I'm saying is factual, no?
Are you not including this season when you look at form? Or are you only including the back end of last season?
No, but I'm saying you're saying what he's done. Last season is done, isn't it? Last season's done and dusted. We finished 4th, you finished 5th. That season's done. We're now 8-9 games into this season.
I believe Tottenham are going to finish above Arsenal this season.
Oh, comfortably, yeah, I do.
I believe Arsenal will finish above Tottenham this season.
That's fine. Well, obviously, you're never going to tell me that that's not the case.
No. I've been on here the last couple times that we did top 4s. I genuinely believed that Tottenham could finish above us, but the way that we're playing and the way that we've started this season, and now the way that you guys are playing and the way that you started this season, I genuinely do believe that this year will be the year that we see St. Tottenham's Day again.
Okay, all right, we'll see. I hear this every other year.
We'll see what happens with that one. I just want to read out. There's been a statement. The Daily Mail put an update out about the situation with Gabriel, and it's still a little vague, but it's interestingly vague. So it says here, thank you for sending that through to me, Egal. He said the Football Association have spoken to Arsenal defender Gabriel after the governing body opened a probe into his confrontation with Liverpool skipper Jordan Henderson on Sunday. Gabriel was spoken to disciplinary chiefs as part of the FA's inquiry into his heated altercation with Henderson, who is also understood to have had the chance to put his side of the story across. It is understood to Gabriel, who is relaxed by the matter, has complained that he heard something on the pitch which triggered an angry confrontation with Henderson. So why I'm intrigued by that, and I'm not saying 100% it's bigotry, but I'm so intrigued to know what they're investigating, because even if it's a comment about Partey, even if it was a comment about his mum, if it was I don't understand what. I've never heard anything like that be investigated before. Does that make sense? Like, it could, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the comment was. You know, maybe it was like, have you been out with Iker Casillas? I don't know what it is, but like, I mean, that was a madness. What a fall! What a fall! Yeah, but that's the latest on that. No real information yet, but definitely intriguing. Boys, I appreciate you both coming on and having your say. Oh, hang on. Eye test has come for Egal here. We've got to put this up. He says, Egal is embarrassing us level-headed gooners. You're a Man United fan. He says, you're a Man United fan, eye test. Stop the hyperbole. Arteta and this side haven't done much to could be compared to Conte. Just enjoy your top of the league, bruv. It could go away still like in 07, 08. I did get sent a stat.
I thought he was a PSG fan, Terry. Remember last time?
He this guy changes like the weather. Interestingly, I did get sent a screenshot earlier today, and it basically shows. I'm just trying to get on my phone now, and it shows. It's an interesting one. The last time a club started a Premier League season with 8 wins from their first 9 games and didn't win the title, it was Arsenal in 07 and Arsenal in 05. And before that, it was the very famous "I'd love it if we beat them" Newcastle moment. However, I finished the research today. Premier League era only. No one's ever got this many points after 9 games and not made top 4. And no team has ever had this many points after 9 games and not. Even though sometimes you look at the final league table and they look 8-9 points off the top, when you actually remember the seasons, they were in the title race. So Arsenal have set the foundation where no team ever in history has ever done this and not been in a title race. So for me, Arsenal, you've got to be in the title race now, because you'd be the first team in Premier League history to win this many games in your opening 9 and then fall off so far to not compete for a title.
You already know, Egal. You already know that it ain't going to take much for us to find something to banter Arsenal about. So if you don't get in the title race after this, that's what the banter's going to be.
I don't care.
And the third Arsenal side to do it.
I don't care, but I'm just going to ask this. Do you see Leeds beating Arsenal next week?
No, not on paper.
Southampton? No, it's just based on.
But based on, but again, this would you say you've been the best team in the league so far this year?
Yes.
Okay, so based on what you've said, I would say right now, if you said to me right now, barring Spurs away and Man City, I would pick Arsenal as a favourite in nearly every other game. But
no, I wouldn't have a favorite.
And I agree with you. I think we could.
But the point I'm making is, but that isn't how football works.
Yeah,
you're very like
there'd be no point playing.
There would be there's going to be between 5 to 8 games still this season where Arsenal go into it. You go, this is the banker, and you draw. Man City, look who they've dropped points to this year, and look who they've beat. Like, no one predicted they were going to drop points to Villa or to not Crystal Palace, Newcastle, but they did. So. You're there or thereabouts. I think you will be in this title race. I don't, because one thing I do disagree with, people keep talk about Arsenal like they're playing at their absolute maximum. They've still got a lot of young players that are making mistakes. Saliba made one yesterday. Gabriel's pretty much been responsible for about 50-60% of your goals this season. I think they're going to get better. I think Arsenal have got another level to go to still. So I don't kind of believe that everyone else is playing beneath themselves and Arsenal are at full pelt max. But yeah, it's going to be intriguing. But there we go.
I said this a lot of times. Stop telling people how to be fans, because when people were Arteta out, I was saying, you know what, do what you want to do, right? Do what you want to do. I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. I'm going to be a fan this way. But now that we're winning, people are still trying to police fans. Stop trying to police fans.
Who's trying to police fans?
No, not you, not anyone in the stream.
But in what way though? How are they policing you?
In the sense that we're winning, and it's like, it's only 9 games. You need to relax. You need to calm down. You can't get ahead of yourself. You can't get ahead of yourself. But then people like Colleen can say, "Oh, I think I'm gonna win the league," and she's gonna get cast out. And I'm like,
but I don't think that's policing fans. Policing fans is you can't celebrate after a game. Most people saying you've got to calm down is because they don't believe that you're gonna maintain this. That's why are they? What you got to ask yourself is, why is someone saying that? When people don't want to see you celebrate, it's because they're annoyed you've won. When you're top of the league and you're going, I think we might win the league. I'm giving an example here, and someone says, "Listen, I think you've got to calm down. There's a long way to go as of now." Ask them why they're saying that, and they'll say, "Because I don't think Arsenal are good enough to win the league or challenge." So that's not policing fans. I think that's an opinion on how good or bad Arsenal fans are. But you're always going to get rivals, especially police you. That's kind of our job as rivals. Like, you do it, bruv. You sit there and tell everyone where their teams are, but. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's just normal, bro. But there we go. But yeah, Colleen's having fun with it. There we go. Listen, Neeks, Patrick, Egal, appreciate it. Daniel, obviously, for coming back on, and JJ for facing the cooking tonight. We're back tomorrow. Me and Lee Gunner, 3:00 for Straight Facts. And then, of course, reacting to the City and Chelsea Champions League games in the studio with our partners at Top Kicks. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.